from Noble Sky. Yep, we are recording this session because it's just fun to be recorded. Right, so anyway, welcome everyone on board tonight's session of US Real Estate Secrets Uncovered. This is a Thursday night and I'm reporting to you from Singapore. And it's really my pleasure to have all of you here tonight joining us to learn about what US real estate can do for you in terms of an investment vehicle, in terms of what it can offer you, whether it's something that can match you in terms of your investment needs and goals. Okay, so I thank all of you who came in very early tonight. I know some of you were in the waiting room, right? So while we wait for a few other people to come on, let me hear from you guys where you are from. It helps me to know where you are watching, tuning in from, so I can know that you know who I'm speaking to. Okay, so do me a favor. This is how we're going to roll when we are doing this event or this webinar tonight. Let it be a two-way session so I know that you are listening in and I'm giving you the type of value that you want. Okay, so let's start off first with some very brief, simple introduction. Let me know where you are from. Can you type in the comments in the chat, in the Zoom chat, type which country you're from, so I know where you guys are at right now tonight. Okay, go ahead, type in. I'm from Singapore. Any of my Daisy, Philippines, Lukman from Singapore, Chin Chong from Malaysia, welcome. Haziq, Singapore. Anyone else apart from, all right, we have Australia. We have who's from Australia? Peter Dunhill, Australia. Hi, all the way from Australia, very nice. Veronica in Indonesia. All right, Sufyan, Singapore. Thank you guys for joining me. We still have a few more people coming in, so do bear with us for a little bit as we admit them in. Tonight, we're going to be sharing with you very interesting information that's probably going to change your view on real estate, because that's what happened to me when I started to learn about US real estate. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the journey of what I went through, what the founders of Noble Sky as a company went through, and how you can probably benefit from there, and then you can make a decision whether it's something that you want to embark on. Right, so Elise from Indonesia, nice to have you. Pavan, Pam, right, India. Azan from Malaysia, right? So many of you guys tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. So let me not waste your time. Let me go into what we're going to be learning tonight. So firstly, we've been around, Noble Sky International has been around since 2014. We've been helping people build their wealth through US real estate, and I hope this is something that you can benefit from tonight, right? So this is for you if you're someone who actually have financial goals, and I believe tonight a lot of you are here is because you have some financial goals you want to achieve, right? So can you type in one for me in the chat if this is you actually have a financial goal? Type in the chat, number one, so I know that I'm speaking to the right people, right? If you are here tonight because you're not interested in making money, or you're not interested in making your money grow, right, then this may not be the webinar for you, right? But if you have financial goals and that's what you want to do, then you're in the right place. Okay, and you are here tonight not only do you want to grow your money, you are actually looking for high performing, safe and predictable investment models, right? This is what we want to share with you, because there is so many things out there in today's context because of fintech, right? There's so many apps out there where you can just buy stocks just like that, within minutes you can buy stocks, you can buy crypto, but really are these the best, or are these the safest type of investments out there, right? We're here tonight not to debate between different types of investment vehicles, but what we want to show you for a fact is that this is something that we can categorize as high performing, safe, and also very predictable. Okay, so I hope this is something that you are looking for. And if you want to achieve your financial goals faster, and so that you can have actually more time, more money, and freedom of choice. Okay, I don't like the term of what do you call that, financial freedom, right? That's not so much to me the most appealing thing. To me, I like the idea of freedom of choice, because if I have my money working for me in my investments, then I can actually make choices in life that that is probably a bit more informed. It's something that I can plan out better, and that is what I want to achieve in my investment goals. Okay, let me know by typing number 2 if what you see on screen right now is what fits you. Type in number 2 if you feel this is exactly where you are. This is what you actually want to be able to achieve when it comes to investments. Okay, all right. John, Sufyan, everyone. My window is a little bit short, so I'm missing out on some names. Let me lengthen it a little bit. So Lukman, yes, thank you very much everyone for participating. All right, so I'm going to move into what you will be learning today, right? So if you have been invited in here tonight, probably you've seen some of the advertisements going out there, and we're telling you about secrets of buying properties in the US, right? So this is secret number one, which you'll be learning tonight, which is how do you buy US real estate at 70 to 80% discounts to the market value, right? So you read that right. We are talking about discounted, which means property you don't pay 100%, you only pay about 20 to 30%. Okay, is this something that's exciting for you? Okay, I hope this is what you're looking forward to. Secret number two, how do you legally set up in the US, okay, and own properties using unconventional leverage? Okay, a lot of people have this idea that buying property in the US will mean that you will have to go through a whole very complicated process. You will have to, some people are really worrying about visa. Do I have to get my visa approved? Do I have to travel all over, all the way there? What if I can't travel? This is what we want to cover for you tonight and make you realize how easy and simple it is to buy properties in the US. And secret number three, how do you 10x your returns? How do you multiply your returns if your money, currently is sitting down and doing single digits? How do you actually do double digits or maybe potentially even triple digits by using US real estate? All right, so I hope you guys are excited. So before we go on, let me share with you the biggest rule of real estate investing in Noble Sky's context, okay? But before I share that with you, let me know what you guys think. What do you think is the biggest rule of real estate investing from whatever that you're aware of or you've learned about real estate? Anyone? What do you guys think? What is the biggest rule of real estate investing? Type in the chat. Anyone? Location. All right. John says location. All right. That's true. What is the buy below market? All right. That's Lukman. Thank you very much. Buy below market. What else? Any other thoughts about this? Location. All right. That's true. Buy and wait before selling. Right. All of your points are valid, but in our case, the biggest rule of investing in real estate is that you make money when you buy and not when you sell. Right. Repeat that again. You make money when you buy and not when you sell. Right. So to understand this, you will need to see the context of where we are coming from. Because most of us, we are so accustomed to the idea that if you want to make money from real estate, you will want to buy and hold, right? Buy and hold and keep it for a long time, and then you sell it, then you make your money. And then, that is typically what we understand real estate to be. But in our context, every time we go into buying any kind of property in the US, we want to make sure that we make the money immediately when you buy. Okay, and I will explain what this means in the whole of our presentation tonight. This rule, this concept will be applied throughout of when we buy US real estate. Okay. So here's a little bit about me. So I think since we are having this session tonight, I think you deserve to know who I am a little bit more. So I'm Farhan. Hello again, everyone from Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia. I'm not sure if I missed out any country. Sorry if I did. I am the head of marketing and communications department in the company, Noble Sky International. I was a former senior officer in the Singapore Police Force. I was there for a good 8 years. I love the job of policing. It's an extraordinary career, but I've also have this what you call a mid-career itch, right? Being who I was in my background, I did studies in business and economics, and I was very, very interested to do my own business. Okay, the only challenge with being a civil servant in Singapore, in the police force, is that you cannot moonlight, you cannot do any other kind of business that's income generating, and because it will conflict with the job. So I had to make the very tough decision to actually resign from the Singapore Police Force in the year 2017. So it's the 4th year now. And because I wanted to experience running my own business, and I'm happy that I actually took that decision. No regrets. I've since owned a few businesses of my own. Been 3 years now, and of course I wouldn't be here to talk to you about investing in real estate in the US if I wasn't myself an investor, right? So I've been introduced to Noble Sky myself in the year of early 2018. It was just after I resigned from my job, and I was looking at where can I put my money. I want to grow my money so that I can build a nest egg. So I was introduced to US real estate myself in 2018, and I was, I never looked back since. Because the kind of returns it's been giving me, the kind of growth potential, it's way better than what I could have done in Singapore. All right. Just a bit more about me. I have 3 kids, and a lot of what I do, my job, my work, my things, my commitments, and my investments, a lot of it is because of my family. Okay. Let me know who in here is actually doing this because you want to invest, because you want to build something for your family. You type in the chat, type family if this is something that is actually what is driving you. Right. So Fian says family, yes. Anyone else? Family. Andrea, family, yes. So family is a great driver, right? Because you want to make sure your kids, your family gets the best that you can offer them, maybe in terms of school, in terms of the clothes they wear, holidays that you can bring them to. So having a performing investment will make a lot of sense to help you give the best to your family, right? So I know some of us may also be talking about retirement, maybe talking about some other financial goals, and that's perfectly fine as well. But for me, really, it's about family, right? So I other things I do is I enjoy running. If you guys are into running, high five. I've recently started trying out this shoe called Hoka, the brand Hoka, and it's been really, really good. So you guys can try that out. Sorry, I'm not affiliated with Hoka, but it's just so good that I just want to share. Right, and I share a lot about digital marketing. This is my domain. This is my area that I've been doing after I got out from the Singapore police force. All right, so a little bit, or rather enough about me. I want to introduce to you someone who is very important, whose journey in US real estate actually brings us to where we are today, right? And this person is Rao Said. He is my friend and mentor in US real estate. He's also the founder of Noble Sky International, the company that's bringing you this webinar tonight. He founded Noble Sky International in the year 2014, and since then he has actually perfected that strategy for foreigners to buy into properties in the US, and he's assisted close to 300 investors since, especially we started doing this in 2018 to bring this out to the public, and through his guidance and through the strategies that we're sharing with you tonight, we've acquired more than 50 properties. Actually, by now it's a lot more than that. In the span of this period of time, we've been buying properties for clients, on behalf of clients, all right? So I want to share with you a little bit about why Ralph has set up this company, okay? So just a quick video for you to get to know Ralph a little bit better. Here goes.
Many of us are looking for opportunities in life that will enable us to empower ourselves to drive towards our goals and purpose. Some of us might find that the jobs we had are just not enough and thus embark on another journey to win this game in life. I decided to take the plunge in entrepreneurship and investing, not in my own country, but rather halfway across the world in the United States. I left my stable job and started a real estate business only to be beaten, lost, and even more frustrated. I had to leave my family for months, my daughter who was not even in primary school, and my son who was just a toddler. But I badly wanted to win this game in life and provide them with the best, so I had that decision changed my life forever. Hi, Rao Said here. I'm the founder and chief investment strategist at Noble Sky International. I'm a proud father of 2, Leila Mariam and Yusuf Aidan. I also count my nephews and nieces my own children as well, and I have my wife and business partner Aisara to thank for as well. They are my reasons why I have been working so hard so they may pursue their dreams and achieve their goals. Giving them the best to score in life was my objective. Coming from a broken family, I knew the financial pain and hardship that my parents had endured while raising my siblings and me. I value their sacrifices that have made me into who I am today. This attitude of persistence and tenacity has pushed me beyond my boundaries to create multiple streams of income in property investments. I built Noble Sky since 2014 and have achieved the highest standard and recognition my business has to offer. I'm proud to say that we are the only company in Asia that has enabled thousands of people from all walks of life from across the region to affordably own multiple portfolios of properties in the United States of America with no debt. I'm highly meticulous, and many who have worked with me will understand that I want the best for all my clients. I continually seek mentors and those more successful than I am in this field to gain more experience, and the intensive research we provide has allowed me to create life-changing decisions for my client. I presented them with my proposal, researched the desired property, and facilitated the whole process to suit their portfolio. Satisfaction on their faces and from hearing their voices after finally owning a profitable property that they never dreamed of before is the driving force for me. I will do the same for you because I was once looking for that purpose and I found my answers. I love connecting with people, and to me, it's not just about making a transaction, but more about having relationships built to last. I look forward to sharing my life's work with you. My life's work has empowered hundreds to realize a life they never once thought possible. My name is Raul Said, your go-to US real estate investment strategist.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Every time I watch this video, I get goosebumps, right? Because I can relate to so much about what Ralph has mentioned. And, again, with what he has to say, a lot of it has got to do with his family, he's doing this for his family, but also he set this up because he had discovered something that can allow other people, not just himself, but other people to benefit from owning properties in the US. And, today I just wrote a short post in my own Facebook timeline to share about how I got, introduced to US real estate. And it's really amazing because of how, firstly, for me, is how affordable it is. And I want to share that with you tonight. And I hope you guys, will actually get benefit from there as well. Right. So here's a bit about Raul's journey. I'm going to bring you through his journey. Why? Because through his journey are the lessons learned, and is what will apply to you as well if you decide to get on investing in US real estate. Okay, so this is something that I want to share with you. So it all started in the year 2012 when Ralph was actually in San Jose, California. He decided to go up there, just take on a holiday and then listen to a multi-speaker event. If you probably can recognize some of these faces here, we have Anthony Robbins, we have Donald Trump, we have Robert Kiyosaki, and one of the one of the famous speakers is Robert Kiyosaki, who talks a lot about investing, right? About how do you get freedom through actually investing. And Ralph was here because he wanted to learn what he can do to achieve that kind of freedom. But the one person who actually got his attention wasn't any of these three speakers. Okay, the one person who got Ralph's attention was actually an unknown speaker, someone who was actually talking about how you can buy properties in the US at great discounts and how they can actually be acquired by foreigners. Okay, so Ralph decided that, okay, he's going to pursue that. He saw that it was really interesting. And in the year 2014, Ralph had saved up some money, knowing that it's going to be an investment. And he decided that he's going to attend this workshop in the US. And this workshop cost $20,000. Okay, it was I think it was a 5 days workshop over in the US, and he had to attend this to learn about how the structure of buying properties in the US will work for a foreigner, what's going to cost like and everything. So he was very, very excited because he discovered that he can actually do this. He can buy properties at a very, very low price. And in this case, you can see an example. He thought he could buy a property like this at $5,000 and then sell it for $200,000 in the market, right? So this is awesome, right? Imagine if you were to be able to do this and you repeat this process 5-6 times, you'll probably be a millionaire. But this was the reality on the ground. You can actually own a property in the US for $5,000. It's legit. It's not a scam or anything. You can buy a property in the US for $5,000, but probably it's going to look more like this, and it's probably going to be hard to sell, right? So there are mechanisms, there are processes in place for you to buy properties to sell them for profit. I'm going to share that with you. Right. So how did it work out from here? So when Ralph realized, okay, great, I can buy properties at great discounts and all that, let's go in and buy properties, right? So then Ralph started with his nest egg. He had saved up about $150,000 at the time. So he was taught in the workshop that one of the best channels, or one of the best ways to buy properties at great discounts, actually through auctions. Okay, so he had to fly into Houston, Texas. This was in the year 2014, to Houston, Texas, to attend a property auction. And if you can see, I'm just going to explain a little bit on what you're looking at. These are groups of people standing in front of the sheriff's office. So this auction is actually being conducted by the county sheriff in the county. And you see that paper behind the sheriff, the guy with the hat, is actually he's a sheriff, and behind him there is a list of properties, okay, that people can actually bid for. Right, so Ralph actually fly up to Houston, Texas, entered the auction, but he did not win anything. He flew back to Singapore, right, and waited a few weeks, and then flew back up all the way to Houston, another 24 hours in flight time going up there to attend the auction. And guess what? He didn't win anything either. But only on the third time after flying back to Singapore and then up back to Houston, Texas, he actually won something, right? So round of applause. All right, give me a thumbs up that if you're happy that he actually won something. Okay, if you imagine you were in this journey, you had to fly back and forth just to be able to win something in the auctions, right? So this is actually what he won. That's Ralph. This was what he actually was able to do. What he acquired some properties for $28,000. Okay, so you can see here, Noble Sky LLC is a company that Ralph set up in the US for him to be able to buy these properties. Anybody can make a guess what he got for $28,000? Type in the chat, what do you think he got for $28,000? Was it a land plot? Was it a condominium? Was it a garage? Or was it, what was it, a hotel? A petrol kiosk? Anyone has any guesses? What did he get for $28,000? Type in the chat, so I know maybe what's going through your mind. Condominium, shakes it. Anyone else? Anyone else has any thoughts? What did Ralph win for $28,000 at the auction in Houston? Land plot. Okay, right. So this is actually what he got. So Sheikh was right. Ralph actually won 4 condominium units for $28,000. He had won 4 condominium units, which means each unit was going at $7,000. Right? Eli said a house that looked like a dump. So actually, it was not a dump at all. This is the type of condominium which Ralph had won. This is not the type of condominium we are familiar with in our part of the world, where it's a luxury condominium and you know, every unit is very expensive. For this one, he got this at 4 units at $28,000, and this is actually in a blue-collar community. There's a lot of people who want to rent here because people are working in their offices are nearby, and it's also very near to the airport. Right, so there was actually a lot of demand for rental in this property. So this is what Ralph got. Okay, and this gave him a monthly cash flow of $3,000. Who likes this idea? $28,000, get 4 condo. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, in the chat, in your Zoom chat, there's a thumbs up button or celebrate button. Right? Let me know if this is something that is amazing. When I saw this, I was like, wow, $28,000 for condominium units, $3,000 monthly cash flow. I'll be happy with this. I can actually stop working and just survive on $3,000. But this is something that has driven him, and he realized that, okay, if I can do this, all right, if I can achieve this, if you were an investor, what will you do? If you were able to achieve buying a property like this, what will you do? Okay, so like any rational investor, right? What I will do as well is I will do what Ralph did, which is knowing that I can buy such properties, I will actually buy more. Makes sense, right? You want your money to grow, you need to buy more of such properties so that your money can grow faster. And that's part of what I've shared with you earlier. If you're here tonight, it's because we want our money to grow and grow faster. We want it to be high performing. So that's what Ralph did. So of course, after winning that condominium, he went back to Singapore, he celebrated. He told everyone like, hey, look guys, this is what I won. This is what the deal I made, and I'm gonna, you know, make lots of money over there. And he says, I'm gonna go back up this time to San Antonio because it's a great market then. In 2014, I'm gonna get me more properties, right? So what happened then was in San Antonio, this time around, Ralph did not realize that by the time he was up in San Antonio, it was towards the end of 2014 already, he had only $10,000 left to bid into any kind of properties, right? So of the 150K, he had actually spent so much on all the other expenses and to that condo that he won. So he had only $10,000 he could set aside into this particular auction in San Antonio. So what happened was every property that he has shortlisted to buy was outbidded, which means other investors actually bought the properties that he wanted. So if you have made that trip all the way there, realizing that, you know, you've told everybody back home you're going to get more properties, right? You wouldn't want to lose face and go home empty-handed, right? So what Ralph did was he said, okay, I'm going to just go for the next property in the list, and I'm just going to bid for it. So what he did was he saw the address in the list, he punched it into Google Maps, he saw a property over there, and he said, okay, right, there's a property there, I'm just going to go ahead and made a bid. Guess what he got? So Ralph actually won something for $8,000, but also by doing what he did, he committed the #1 mistake of property investing, right? And this was what he got. For $8,000, he actually won. This was what I think earlier one of you mentioned, a dump, right? This was what Ralph actually won. For $8,000, it was a property that was actually already almost burnt down. The story behind this was that this unit was actually utilized by druggies. People, you know, use this as for running their drug operations, and they got this place burnt down. And with $10,000, after spending $8,000, there was not much money he had to repair this property, make it look good, and sell it for profits at all. right? So this was the mistake which he did. The number one mistake in buying properties, not just in the US, anywhere in the world, in your own country, in your own backyard, is to buy a property without research. Okay, if you do that, you're probably going to end up losing money. Okay, so for in Ralph's case, this property, he couldn't sell the property for any profits at all. He could only sell back the land plot just to cover losses. Okay, you guys get it? So Chin Chong was asking, no rehab costs for the condos. There will be rehab and furnishing costs because he want to put up for he wanted to put up the property for rentals, right? He needed to do more furnishings. So that particular condo didn't require much of a rehab, but more of the furnishing costs. So that will use something that you need to factor in when it comes to investing. So we're going to cover that a bit more as we go along. Okay. So in order to strengthen his position as an investor in the US, what Ralph did was to seek out mentors, to learn from other people. And you know, being where we are today, we know that one of the fastest way to success is actually to find people who have traveled the path that you want to travel, right? And in Ralph's case, he decided, okay, he need to seek out mentors in the US. And here we are privileged today because we have people like John and Laura, who they're owners of hundreds of properties in the US. They have a huge 400-acre ranch, and every year Ralph actually goes over there, and I think he has already visited them this year. For your info, Ralph and his partner, is currently in the US for the past 3 months already, since end of July, to take care of the projects over there. All right, so this is where they are at right now. There's Ray and George Dyers, also very good partners of Noble Sky. They are actually specializing in commercial and hotel deals, and they also specialize in rehab. All right, so they specialize in rehab. So these are our mentors and people who advise Ralph and the company on certain specific areas of investing in the US. Right? We also have Charles and Lena Sells. They are owners of the PIP group. They do tax liens. So any of you who have been doing US real estate research, you might have come across the term tax liens, and they do a lot of that. It's something that if they do on their own, it's a company, PIP group. Okay, so what we did after all of this was in the year 2018 was to fly in the mentors that you have seen to Bali. This was the year 2018, and we flew in about 50 investors in the community to join in the event to learn directly from the mentors. So everyone got value, learning directly from people who specialize in different areas in US real estate in Bali. And there was an event which I had to miss, unfortunately. It was in September, and it was you know, my kids were having exams. I couldn't fly over and join the team, but this was a really amazing event. And through this event and through Ralph's journey, these are a few things which we have learned, and I want to share this with you. These are very important lessons, which in the first lesson number 1, which is very important, you need to know, is that you need to take care of research, right? When it comes to investing, you do not want to jump into buying any kind of property, just some kind of junk property, thinking that you can rehab and make money from that. So there's a lot of research that goes into play. We'll be sharing with you some of those research criteria. Okay, and this the other thing that we learned is an ugly house on a pretty street beats a pretty house on an ugly street. What that basically means is, if you buy a property that's run down, for example, but it is in an area that has high demand. Okay, so our research show, for example, there's a lot of demand in this place. People want to buy and live in this area. It's okay that you buy cheap into an ugly property, and then you can turn it around and make it look good. Versus a place, a neighborhood where nobody wants to stay in. That place is horrible. I see a lot of maybe high crime rates, maybe no good schools, no facilities, nothing at all. But you make a pretty house over there, nobody's going to buy it anyway. Okay, so you need to know this fact very well. You need to watch all expenses. This was what I've shared with you in Raul's journey. He had spent a lot of money going up and down and then spending on lodging, spending on food, spending on car rental. You know, he needed to travel here and there. And all of those expenses, if you were an investor, you know, end of the day, you want your money to grow and not to put everything in such expenses, right? You want the money to grow instead of being spent in that manner. So you need to take care of your expenses so that you know, your ROI is maximized. And then last point, you need to have the right team and mentor. And so what happens was, after Ralph has more or less decided that, okay, this is the right working strategy for a foreigner to buy into the US market, properties in the US market. So he decided to build that team and also maintain that group of mentors to, you know, guide us along. So today we are a 20-man strong team. Noble Sky International has about 20 staff. So we are actually running this as a business for other investors who are based outside of the US to help them buy into properties. Okay, so this is who we are. In summary, we are a real estate investment facilitation company. Okay, we facilitate the whole process. We are not fund managers. We do not collect money and hold your money and then put them in some kind of real estate funds. No, neither are we realtors. We do not have properties right now to sell to you. Okay, we do not have an inventory of properties where we want to sell to you. That's not what we do. We facilitate. Okay, so we help people acquire real estate through different means. Okay, which is government auctions, direct sellers, wholesalers. These are ways of how we buy properties in the US. And if you want to just check us out to see whether does Noble Sky as a company really exist, these are our registration numbers. In 2018, we rebranded to Noble Sky Institute Private Limited. We entered the market to educate people, like what we are doing tonight, educate people about US real estate investing, and then we help them through the process. Okay, and then in the US, where the US team on the ground works on your properties in the US, this is called Noble Sky Core LLC. We are registered. These are our registration numbers you can see over there on screen. Okay, so what we've been up to since 2018, I joined in the company right now. Says, hey Farhan, I want to grow this company. I want to allow more people, more investors to come in and buy and take advantage of US real estate and benefit them and their families. Okay, so we've been doing live workshops since 2018. So you can see these are the workshops we've been doing in Singapore. We've done, of course, Singapore a lot being our headquarters and home base. We've been to Jakarta a lot as well. Jakarta being one of our biggest markets in our investor community. We have a lot of people from Indonesia, and a large part of that comes from Indonesia. We love Jakarta and the people. We've also been to Surabaya and Bandung. So you can see every time we're there, we'll be dressed in the batik, the traditional batik outfit, right? I'm not sure if you can spot me. Well, this is what we enjoy doing as a company, connecting with people, and then we're sharing with them about real estate. And then if they decide to come on board, we will facilitate the process for them. All right. We've also been to Malaysia, of course. Malaysia being our closest neighbor, we've been running multiple workshops over there. And we've been to Penang, Sabah, Sarawak, so Peninsula and then Eastern Malaysia. We've had, of course, made a lot of good friends throughout this period of time, through all of these workshops and investors that come on board with us. We've also been to Vietnam and to Cambodia, Phnom Penh, and Thailand in Bangkok. So of course, Vietnam and Cambodia, Thailand is very interesting because they do not speak the English language as a first language. So it's always about like chicken and duck speaking, right? So it was kind of interesting because over there, when we run workshops in these countries, we have to use translators. So we use translators, sometimes you get the term lost in translation. It's kind of funny, sometimes it's hilarious when chicken and duck are talking. But end of the day, they still get the point about how profitable it can be for them to invest in US real estate. So a number of them still do come on board as investors to buy into US real estate. And the reality is this: the US does not have any restrictions for anyone from any place to come in and invest in properties. Okay, so which is why you are actually here tonight. None of you are from the US, right? You are here tonight from within Asia, and you actually have the ability to buy into US properties easily. And that's part of the process I'll be sharing with you as well. Okay, so here's what one of our investors back in 2018, Mr. Richard Janey, he has to say about learning from Noble Sky and what we do.
I'm Richard Janey. I am an owner of an agency back in Singapore, a real estate agency. I lived in Singapore for 40 years, always wanted to get involved in the US real estate, but I didn't know how. So when I met Ralph back in Singapore, he gave me the skeleton or the outline of how to do it. But I think when we came out to Bali, then I met all his counterparts in the US, and it was a very straightforward, open sharing session. So I think it answered a lot of questions which I had in my mind, and it gave us a lot of confidence. We now know exactly who we're going to deal with in the US, and we have a lot more confidence and knowledge now. So if you want to invest in the US, this is the place to go to.
Right, so Mr. Richard Janey's words is that if you want to invest in the US and you are not in the US, Noble Sky is a place where you can actually go to, because we have a base of investors in fact, 99% of our investor base are based outside of the US, of course. Right, so here's a little bit about Mr. Richard Janey. He's based in Singapore. He has a real estate agency of his own in Singapore. And when he started his journey investing in US real estate, he was part of a group of investors who put in money to buy into 4 properties. So his own capital when he first started out was he put in $45,000 into a group capital contribution of $278,000. Why 278? This was the amount that was required to buy into these 4 properties. But understand, these 4 properties has a market value of $760,000. So this is what happens when you buy into these 4 properties. This is what happens to your portfolio, right? Remember when I said the biggest rule of real estate investing was to make money when you buy and not when you sell. So this is what we mean. When you buy properties at $278,000, these 4 properties, but it has a market, the 4 properties, a market value of $760,000. You understand that the moment you buy into this portfolio, your money has grown in equity by 273% in this particular case. You guys get it, right? So this is what it means. When we buy properties at such great discount, this is the kind of returns that it can achieve. Type number 1, if this is something that you love to be able to achieve for yourself, buy into properties that is discounted, that you can actually make instant growth the moment you buy into this portfolio. So when I saw this, I was like, wow, I was blown away. This is like, okay, it makes a lot of sense. But of course, the question in my mind would be, how do I do it? Great. Andrea has a great question. How do I buy without being heavily taxed? That's a very good question, Andrea. Please hold on, because I'm going to cover a bit on taxes later. Once you have buy into the portfolio, what kinds of taxes are we looking at and things like that, right? So we'll be covering that. Okay, so moving on, these are what we've been able to achieve for our clients. Okay, since July 2018, so this was July 2018 was when we went to outside of Singapore doing this outreach, teaching people how to do it. So we've achieved quite to 63 properties so far for all of these investors on their behalf. This 63 properties has a purchase value, which means we spent 3.75 million to buy these 63 properties, but they only represented about 30% of the market value, because these 63 properties has a fair market value of about more than $12.5 million. So you guys get it? We spent 3.75, but the portfolio value in total is actually more than 12.5. You guys like it? Is this numbers that you like? Give me a thumbs up. So I know you're still here with me and you are actually on the right track tonight, because you're going to be discovering how we're going to do this, okay? At the end of this session, I'm going to make you a very special offer. So I know people will be seated here thinking, okay, I know this guy running a free webinar is going to sell me some coaching, some workshop, some kind of mastermind, so that, I can teach you how to do it and we make money from running workshops and things like that. We do not do that at all. That's not our model. That's not how we work. As I mentioned to you earlier, what we do is we facilitate people in running the investments in the US. So this is what I'm going to be offering to you at the end of the webinar. If this is something you're looking for, I will urge you to stay on to the end, because it's going to be very exciting of how you can actually get started, right? So what we're going to be doing for you is this. We're going to help you own 100% fully owned and done for you real estate business in the US. This has a value of $37,180. Okay. And we do not offer you any workshops, mastermind, or coaching of any sense of any sorts like that, okay? Because we don't believe in wasting your time. We don't believe in giving you more information after tonight so that you can get more information and start to learn and do it yourself. We want that journey to start for you quickly. So what we are offering to you is a service that can help you get started immediately, right? Give me a thumbs up if this is something that you like. You like the potential of actually having the ability to start your real estate business, real estate investment in the US without having to figure it out yourself. Okay, give me a thumbs up so I know that this is something that you're looking forward to, right? Don't worry about the pricing. This is something we're going to share with you. It's going to make a lot of sense. Then this is something that I will share with you towards the end, right? You actually get valuation of these properties. Yeah, of course. Okay, valuation from the markets, yes, it depends on which stage of acquisition. So a lot of the time we do comparative pricing from other listings first and foremost. Okay, once we are making the actual acquisitions, then depending on how we acquire the properties, there will be valuations for the properties. Okay. So again, this is the perfect solution for you tonight if you again have financial goals that you want to achieve, right? and I know you guys have actually earlier told me this is where you are at. You want high-performing, safe, and predictable investment models, and you actually want to achieve this faster, right? So that you can have more time, more money, and freedom of choice. So if this is where you are at, I really hope that you will consider how US real estate can help you get there, all right? So let's just address a few things. Is the market any better now from a year and a half ago? Yes? No? I do not know. Okay, so the reality is things are still unstable, right? So in some places they're opening up, some places are not opening up, in some places the numbers are going up, some places the numbers are going down, COVID numbers. So, and you know, some businesses have closed down forever, right? Some brands, business brands, big brands may no longer be around at all, right? So what we want to share with you is this: with every crisis there comes opportunities. Okay, so how many of you actually know of people who made a lot of money through this pandemic period in the past 1.5 years? give me a hands up or thumbs up if you know someone who's actually made a lot of money, or you heard of people say, "Wow, I actually made a lot of money through this pandemic." Anyone? Give me a thumbs up if you actually heard of people like, okay, yeah, maybe they bought crypto, maybe they bought some shares here and then, and they actually made lots of money. Anyone has heard of that? Yeah. So that's real, right? It's true, right? We're not trying to bluff anyone. In reality, even if there was a crisis, even if the current situation of COVID in this particular case, there are still opportunities that you can work through to actually gain from there. Okay? Not gain from the crisis, but find the opportunities within. Okay. So tonight I want to share with you 6 facts about local real estate investing. And I'm covering Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. Why? Because these are, since the past 1.5 years, since COVID started, we focus a lot more on these 3 countries, so that this is the markets that we are reaching out towards the most. Okay, first and foremost, inaccessible and debt focus. So in these countries, including my own country, Singapore, a lot of the time when it comes to buying properties, we think about having to take up a loan first, because why? Properties generally are very expensive. You can rebut, or you can say like, no, some properties can be cheap, and that's true, but are they good properties? If a property is cheap, a lot of the time is that it may be problematic. It may not be the type of properties that are going to give you great returns. Okay, so if you want to talk about nicer properties that can make you money and things like that, generally it'll be more expensive, and you have to take up loans and things like that. And there's a very few discounted options. Truly, most of us will buy from the market, or we buy from developers. For example, you won't get heavy discount, right? Maybe you get some promotion, 10%, 15% at best, and that's how you buy into properties. Okay, limited inventories, because in a lot of places where the real estate is hot, where it's booming, where there's a lot of growth, for example, it's usually in concentrated areas, and it's maybe around the CBD, or maybe it's around town. And for that to happen, there's very limited inventory in this area, so that's why prices become so expensive, right? And returns, generally, because the properties are so expensive, you're spending a lot more on taking up loans, a lot more on paying the loans. Your eventual returns will be lesser than what you would like. Okay, and the numbers are not very, very exciting. So we're going to look at some of these examples later. The duties payable, and this is especially the case for Singapore when you buy second property, third property, for the purpose of investing, especially, right? You have to pay a lot of taxes to the government. So your ROI drops because you pay more to other things. Then the last point about title ownership, a lot of the time, if I were to buy, if I'm a foreigner, I buy into any of these countries, for example, I will likely or unlikely be able to own land. Okay, I will unlikely be able to get title to the property because I'm a foreigner. Okay, so in the US, it's very different. In the US, you can actually be the landowner as well. All right, so let's take a look at some examples here. So you want to compare, before we get into the US examples, I know that's what you guys are excited for. I want to get to the local example so we can make a fair comparison. Okay, so here's an apartment in Jakarta, apartment Taman Anggrek. Why did we choose this one? Is because every time we fly into Jakarta to run our workshops, we stay in Taman Anggrek. We've stayed in Taman Anggrek. It's across the road. It's just one road across from Pullman Hotel. That's where we run our workshops. It's very near, and this property, if you want to be a landlord, for example, you want to buy and invest, right? You want to buy the property and then rent it out. It's going to cost you about $181,000 US. Okay, so the size is a 2-bedder, 2-bath. Okay, for this property, the capital layout is about, you need to put down about 30% of for deposits, the rest of it you take up in loans. Okay, so especially if you're a foreigner, the interest rates may be different, but assuming these numbers, you're going to pay about $1,500 to the bank every month, but your gross monthly rental is only about $500 a month. Okay, so on this basis, you're going to make about 3.31% gross yield. Let me know in the chat, is this a positive or negative cash flow? Type in P for positive, N for negative. This example, you earn $500 a month, okay, in terms of rental income, but then you have to pay the bank $1,500. N or P? N for negative, P for positive, right? So thanks guys, Sheikh, Peter, Andrea, thank you for your participation. So yeah, you can just do simple math. It's a negative outcome, right? So it's not the most exciting. So maybe if you were a landlord here, the most money you can make from this deal is probably when you sell off, if the property appreciates in value, you sell off and then you make some handsome money from there. All right, let's take a look at an example in Mont Kiara. So Mont Kiara is an up and coming market in Malaysia. We've also stayed in Verve Suites when we are in KL to run our workshops. So this is what we do. It's a similar configuration, 2-bed, 2-bath, about 900 plus square feet. If you have to buy this property, it costs about $198 US. The numbers here is again about 30% down payment, and then the rest you take up in loan. So the loan interest rate in Malaysia is lesser, so you pay about 750. Okay, and the gross monthly rental is about 801. All right. So here, let me know, is this positive or negative? P for positive, N for negative. This example. So loan repayment 750, monthly income 801. Sheikh says P but ... Okay, the ... I'm guessing is that if you're looking at these numbers, right, it's about $50 earnings a month. Basically, it's not very exciting, right? So if you look at the numbers here, it's about 4.85% gross yield. Why we say gross is because we have not taken into account the loan repayments, the interest rates, and also the monthly maintenance. So you make $50 a month. Again, not very exciting numbers, but well, a little bit of earnings there. We're looking at the gross numbers. How and what is the reality on the ground in Malaysia? This is what is going on, right? So those of you in Malaysia, let me know if this is correct or not, because this is what we pulled out from the articles on the net. So this was in Free Malaysia Times, I think, something like that. So it says houses at half price, and this is the headline says that prices have fallen. So this was what happened. Sometime this year, the developers in Country Garden, they offered the properties at 50% discount. So is this great? 50% discount for this property? Yes, right? If you were to be the buyer for this particular case, 50% discount is a steal. It's a great discount, right? But look at what the example in the bottom, the last statement is a Singaporean buyer who bought the property in 2015 for 1.82 million ringgit. Basically, the value of his property has dropped by half overnight because it's being sold for 50%, right? So can you imagine? Personally, if you were to buy a property in Malaysia at this point in time at 50% discount, of course, it's great. If you decide to stay and not as an investment, it would be a great deal. The question then will be, will the market recover? Will you eventually make a lot of money from there? We do not really know. The reason why it is being offered at such a discount in the first place is because of the overhang situation. Overhang meaning there's too much supply versus demand. And that is never a good situation for an investor in real estate, right? So when there's too much supply, basically, even if you want to sell at 40% discount or 50% discount, 60% discounts, people may not want to buy because there's just so many other choices out there. All right, this was in JB. And how about in Malaysia? And this was a recent article in October 7th. So this was what the Malaysian situation is going on right now. There's about 79 abandoned housing projects affecting about 11,000 buyers. So, and a lot of this has got to do with the developers who are involved in these projects actually have big balance sheets, poor project management. So because of that, viability of the projects are very, very low. And if you were to be in such a market, right, it will be very challenging because you do not know whether your investments can recover. Okay, understand that property market doesn't move like stock market, right? It's not like somebody just make an announcement like that and the next day price drops. No, but this is a long-term issue, underlying issues which you have to think about whether it makes sense for you to be in these areas. Okay, so for Malaysians out there, I know this doesn't sound very good, but this is the realities on the ground. So it's important that we make informed decisions when you want to decide whether you want to buy property in these areas or not. Okay. How about Singapore? Okay, I'm not celebrating at all. I'm not biased towards Singapore because Singapore doesn't make it easy for Singaporeans either. This is the reality on the ground. Look at this property in just a bit outside of the city. It's called City Lights in Lavender. It's a 2-bedder, 1-bath. It's only 678 square feet. It's smaller than the Malaysian example and smaller than the Jakarta, Indonesia example. Okay, but the purchase price, if you want to buy into this property, you want to be a landlord to own this property, it's going to cost you 857,000 US dollars. A lot more expensive. It's like 4 times the Malaysian example, 4 times the Jakarta example. And you have to pay this more than $500,000 just as a capital layout, which means that you want to buy a property in Singapore as a second property, you cannot afford, the banks will not give you 80%, 90% loans, okay? At best, they will give you about maybe 40 to 60% loans, and that's it. Why? Because the Singapore government don't want you as a Singaporean citizen to over leverage, okay? So you can, if you do not have money, if you do not have $500,000, you won't even dream of buying into this property. You guys get it? So situation in Singapore, it's very expensive. It's not the most favorable either. But here, if you were to come up, say you have the $500,000, you take it out and pay for down payment, but the rest of it you take up in loans, right? You have to pay about $1,700 a month to the bank. So gross monthly rental sounds more interesting, right? About $2,160 a month. Okay, so this is going to give you 2.71 gross deal. So of course, we look at the numbers, we're going to say, okay, P. Lokman really very quickly said P. Oh no, this was for earlier, right? Okay, so this one looks like P. Looks like positive, right? So you 2,160, you less off 1,007. Well, not bad. You make about $400. But understand, before, okay, sorry, Chin Chong says some, my team, please help to allow in Chin Chong's partner. Okay, so for Singapore, right, you can make positive returns, right? Because you want to take 2,160 less off 1,007, you make 400 a month. But understand, before you make 400 a month, you need to come up with $500,000 already. So this is really a game for the rich in Singapore. And let's see what it says about Singapore. So those of you from Singapore, I hope you've read this article recently. This is what it has to say. This is a report from DBS. This was reported in the news in October 13th. This is just about 2-3 weeks ago. It says investing in a second property in Singapore yielded relatively low returns over the past decade. In the past 10 years, which means if you've actually bought into a second property for the purpose of investing, okay, it didn't give you the best returns. All right. So why? Because a second property will incur very high costs because of the taxes. So we know of the ABSDs and everything. So what this basically means is when you buy into this example given a $1.5 million property, about 15% of what you pay goes into the cost, into the taxes. And to me, that's crazy, right? To me, that's crazy because if you were, this is what it means. If you were to buy like this in Singapore, 15% of what you pay goes to the taxes, which means equivalent to losing 15% of your investment value. So now let me know who will want to buy into an investment where the moment you buy into the investment, you lose 15%. Give me a Y for yes, give me an N for no. Who will say yes, I will want to buy into an investment that the moment I buy, I lose 15%. Y for yes, N for no. Right, let me see. Okay, great. So we have people, Peter says no, Sheikh says no, Lukman says no. Right, so we understand this, right? Elise, a big no. All right, so that's so true because when you are an investor, what you want to do is your money to grow and not to lose in value. This is the total opposite of how it works in the US. Okay, so let's take a look. Let me see whether I can admit. So this is James Tan, right? That's I think your friend. Okay, so we've allowed him in. Let's hope he can get in there. Okay, so let's take a look at what it means here. All right, I want to bring your attention here now to compare the traditional model, and this is what we're very familiar with what our way of buying properties in the US. Okay, so in the traditional way of how we buy properties is basically you buy, maybe you pay 30% deposits, right? That's what we've seen the earlier examples. And then you have to take 60, 70, 80% kind of loans. And then the rest of it, you actually, to make money, you probably have to wait out 5 years, maybe 10 years for the market to appreciate. Okay. Ooh, we have people drawing on the graph. Very exciting, is it, the graph? let me see if I can remove this. Clear all drawings. Okay, it's clear. Okay, whoever that was, you may want to not do that because I know it's very exciting. This graph looks very interesting, but let's not do it because the rest of us will be distracted. Okay, let me know now in the graph on the right, what is the missing element? That's very obvious, right? Type in the chat, what is the missing element in the way we buy properties in the US? Peter says loan, right? Okay, so the missing element is the loans when we buy properties in the US. Why? Because firstly, we buy properties paying about 30%, maybe 30, 20% of the market value. The rest of it is discounted. Okay, the rest of it is discounted. I know at this stage it doesn't make sense. When you sell it, when you buy it at such a discount, do you have to wait 5 years for the market to appreciate for you to make your money? Yes or no? Why for yes and for no? Do you have to wait 5 years if you were to buy at 70% discount? No, right? So Lukman says, so you guys get the drift now. You guys get the picture of how we buy properties. Okay, so let's look at the examples. Okay, so it will only make sense if we compare that with a rental property in the US. So this, what you're looking at in a property in Jacksonville, Florida, is what you call a single family home, right? The single family home is basically is what it is. It's for one family to move in and then stay in there, right? So these are the kind of numbers we're looking at. This property, which is an actual property acquired by our investors, has a market value of $145,000. Cheap or not? Cheap, right? this 145K, it's, to me, it's very, very affordable because we are so used to, like in Singapore, you know, especially in Singapore, HDB houses 300K plus minimum, right? Otherwise, it's not called HDB. But we acquired this property from the auctions for only 56,400. Some of you were asking earlier whether rehab cost and all that. Yeah, there was a rehab expense which we needed to put in to make this property look good, to sell for profit, right? For example, we need to definitely make the property look good, but this property was for rental, so make it look good and then put in furnishings. So all of this coming in, miscellaneous expenses that came into getting this property up and running. So we spent a total of 86,004. Let me know, 86,400 for a property like this, is it very expensive or is it reasonable or what? 86,400 means that we made an immediate equity gain of 58,006. So you take 145K is the price of the market value of the property, you less off the 86,400 expenses, you actually made immediate equity gain of 58,600. Chin Chong says you provide movable furniture in the house. Okay, so furniture depends on what you want to do with the property, right? If you want to sell it to the next buyer, you do not need to put in furniture. What you can do is staging, make the property look good. Once somebody buys in, you remove the furniture. There are staging companies that do that for you. But in this case, for rental, you need to have furniture, yes, so that it'll be attractive to the tenant who wants to move in. So this property is paying $1,000 a month by the tenant. So the annual rental is $12,000, and this gives a rental ROI of 13.89%. Okay, so let me know, is 13.89% better than the other examples we've looked at? 2.71 in Singapore, 3.3 something in Jakarta, and then 4.7 something in Malaysia. Is this better? 13.89, double digit, right? You know, with double digit, your money basically grows a lot faster. Okay, we want to go into more examples after this. Okay, so I hope you get a good idea already, right? So here's why we want to buy properties in the US. We are all very familiar with our own country's market. So let's take a look at why we buy US real estate. Okay, first and foremost, the market size and abundance of inventories. There are a lot of good properties out there. Anyone can make a guess what is the total market value of real estate in the US? Leah says lower capital. Yeah. Anyone make a guess? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, nobody can guess. So the size of real estate in the US is valued at $36 trillion. Okay, so I repeat that, $36 trillion. That comes with 16 zeros at the back of 36. So $36 trillion, which means there's a lot of inventories out there that you can actually buy into that will be good and can give you the kind of returns that you want. Okay. Point number 2, they are a lot more affordable than the local markets. So especially if you are Singaporean in the Singapore market, a huge, what you call bungalow in Singapore, right? You can get that in the US for maybe 250K. That's the kind of numbers we're looking at. And the average transaction value or property value in the US is about, at this stage, because things have inflated quite a bit, is about $350,000. So which means the value of properties that people buy into on average, if you were to average it out, is about $350,000. That's amazing pricing. And of course, it's a question of how you buy it, right? So point number 3, ease of acquisition. When you buy into US real estate, it was so easy that, you know, I laughed out the whole thing when Rauf told me, because I thought it was crazy. I was prepared to think about, like, okay, if I have to travel, if I have to leave my family behind for a few months so that I can handle all of this property buying, right? And it wasn't going to make sense. But he told me how easy it was without me having to leave my home. I was just, I was just sold to the whole idea. Okay. Point number 4, in the US land ownership. If you buy properties in the US, like the one you saw, the earlier example, single family homes on a land plot, it was, again, this is something, is a fact that it was very amazing to me, is that I didn't own the house. I actually owned the land plot and whatever is above the land plot. Okay, you guys get it? When I buy a house in the US, I don't buy just the house. I actually buy into the land plot and whatever is above the land plot, and also to a certain extent below the land plot. So which means if under that plot of land you find gold, who does it belong to? It belongs to you. Okay, you find gold, or you find a black gold, right? Oil, or whatever it may be. Maybe you find crypto underground. I don't know how that works, but it belongs to you because you are the land plot owner. It doesn't matter, even if you are a foreigner, you will be titled to the land as well. Okay. Price to value ratio, we have already seen this. So basically, for every dollar that you spend buying a property in the US versus in your own markets, for example, you will get a lot more value, a lot more returns from buying US real estate. Okay, so I want to share with you, of course, how this is going to work out. Okay, yeah, so Mr. Veronica, thank you for replying to Mr. Ho. So let's answer this question first. Is this the best time to buy properties in the US? There's a lot of currently population migration that's causing a lot of demand for properties in certain areas, and these are areas which we are looking at to buy for investors. So we identify these properties for investors and we tell them, okay, these are good buys and can go ahead and buy into these properties. Mortgage rates, we are aware in the US, the Federal Reserve decided that, okay, for people to survive through COVID, let's make sure they can afford to pay their mortgages, and they lowered the mortgage rates to historical lows. So people were able to buy, and they set up rental moratoriums, a lot of things in between to help people survive. So this access to credit, this access to people being able to take up loans, drove the market even further. The market right now in the US, if you do your own research, is red hot. Properties in the US are selling basically like hotcakes. Okay, because people want to buy and there's a shortage of supply, and there's a lot more buyers, and with access to credit, people can buy. Okay, so then the Federal Reserve says it's going to last for years, this low mortgage rates. Right now they are revising that, but it doesn't really matter. The market has already set in motion and people want to buy. This is a very interesting fact right now. Millennial home ownership is causing the US to run out of houses. And why is this the case? Is because in terms, if you were to look at the demographics of the US population, right, the millennial group is a huge group. So according to the US statistics, that the millennial group may be bigger than the baby boomer group, which a lot of them in since last year entered the age of 31. And age of 31 is the average age where the millennials start to want to buy their own houses. Okay, so imagine now this huge group of people enter age 31, they now want to buy houses, but there isn't enough houses in the market. Okay, you guys get it? So the next year, there'll be another group of people entering age 31, right? So more people want to buy properties in the US. Okay. All right. So you guys are asking a lot of good questions, Ms. Ili, Mr. Ho. We're going to cover that as part of the whole process. So it will also be part of what we'll cover, okay? In terms of who manages the properties, how the renovation is going to be done. I love the fact with your questions. We're going to get there eventually, okay? So this is driving the market. Right now the market is really, really good. Home prices are defying gravity. It's rising 19.8% in August. So imagine if you're a homeowner right now, you'll be laughing to the bank, right? As the saying goes, because your property in the past years has already been on the uptrend, and now it's going up even faster. Okay, and it's currently the value is continuing to go up that manner. And the good thing is people are asking whether this is actually a bubble. Okay, so there are varying thoughts about this, but for me, and based on what we understand the market to be, it is not a bubble, because this is based on fundamentals. This is based on demand and supply. When there is lesser supply and more demand, this is very good fundamentals, which means that is driven by market forces and not by artificial, like the subprime crisis in 2008, 2009. People had artificially taking up loans so that they can buy houses that they cannot afford. So that was a bubble. This time it's not. Okay, this is a very interesting graph which I just want to bring your attention to. When people ask us, right, when they tell me, probably this might be in your mind as well, I want to buy properties only when it is the lowest time in the market. Makes sense, right? I want to buy only when it's lowest time in the market. So this graph is a 20 years graph. You were to look at the starting of the graph is in January 2020, and the end of the graph is in January 2000, and then the end of the graph is January 2020. So this captures a 20 years price movement, price index. So if you were here in the year 2006 when the market was really high, at that point in time you did not know, right? So you're saying that, oh, I have $100,000 now in my bank. I want to buy properties in the US. I heard US properties are great, so I want to buy, but I want to wait for the lowest market, the lowest time in the market. So how will that work out? If you had that kind of mindset, what you would have happened was your 100K will have been sitting in the bank while waiting for 6 years for you to buy at the lowest point in the market. Now, let me know, as an investor, okay, as basically someone who learns generally about money, right? When your money is just seated in the bank for 6 years, would it grow into anything interesting? Yes or no? Why for yes and for no? Will your money, 100K seated in the bank waiting 6 years for the market to go down, will it be good for your money? Will it have grown into something interesting? All right, Peter says not at all, right? Yeah, so what is the solution to this? The reality is nobody had a crystal ball or has a crystal ball today to know that in 6 years time the property market will crash to the lowest, right? Nobody will know, right? So you could have been waiting 6 years or even longer than 6 years. So what is the solution to this? Not having a crystal ball, the solution is basically at any point in time, if you want to buy properties, buy below the line, which means buy at below the market value. That's how you're going to be able to firstly get the equity, right? And then if there was any price movement, that will be a buffer for you. Okay, so at any point in time in the market, if you were to buy below the market value, you are going to be in a safe zone. All right, so I hope you guys understand this. This is a very important concept, which is why we buy properties at discounts. Okay, so here's the saying: don't wait to buy real estate, but buy real estate and wait, especially when you're paying only 20 to 30% of the market value. Right, make sense? Right, so here we are. Secret number one, how do you buy real estate at 70 to 80% of the market value? So a lot of what I've spoken about before this has come to this point where this is how you actually do that. Okay, I've introduced the concept a little bit, but this is the very policy that allows this to happen for all of us outside of the US. It applies for people outside of the US because this is the concept. It's got to do with the property tax policies in the US. Okay, you guys ready for this? Okay, give me a thumbs up so I know you guys are still paying attention. Okay, so you guys are ready for this because I'm going to go into details of how this works out. Okay, give me a thumbs up. All right, so Lukman, Sheikh. Okay, you guys are still paying attention. All right, the rest of you, thumbs up. Very nice. Okay, so ready? This is what it looks like. Okay, so in the US, okay, and basically anywhere in the world, property owners have to pay property taxes, right? So you are all very familiar with this. Why is this important? The government lines in the US is basically broken down into counties. Okay, so understand that the US has 50 states, and out of 50 states, they're broken down into smaller counties. Each county, there's I think about 2,000 plus counties in the US. So each county has its own laws. Each county government takes care of its own area. Okay, property taxes plays a huge part in the county government being able to pay for public services like this. Okay, so when property owners pay their property taxes, they go into paying for the roadworks, the schools, hospitals, teachers, the fire department, and all that. So it is very important that people pay their property taxes. Okay, but in reality, and this applies to anywhere in the world, 20 to 30% of property owners cannot pay their property taxes because of various reasons. Maybe because they lost their jobs, maybe they got divorced, maybe they passed away. So these reasons make it somehow that a property owner is unable to pay. Okay, let's take a look at this illustration right now, as you see on screen. This property owner A, let's take a look at this example. After 1 year, say he owes the county government $2,000 in taxes, he's unable to pay. What will happen to him? Basically nothing. They will just send him a reminder. Hey, look, owner A, you were not able to pay 2,000, and now it's the end of year 2. You still have not been able to pay an additional 2,000. So now you owe 4,000, and in end of year 3 is you will owe another 2,000, a total of 6,000. Now, will the government continue to just send reminders and you know, pretend it is not there? They can't, right? Because they need this money to pay for these public services. If everybody was given this opportunity to not pay, right, and there's no consequence to that, then the government, the county government, is going to collapse because it's not going to be able to pay for all the public services. Okay, so for this example, after 3 years, the government is not going to allow that anymore. So what the government will do is this: the county government is going to foreclose on this property. So what it basically means is this: for this example, after the $6,000 is unable to pay for 3 years of taxes, you add on any of the other penalty costs and things like that, maybe sums up to $10,000. Okay, let's just play along with me. This is how it looks like. When the government forecloses on the property, understand this property, for example, has a market value of $180,000, but he owes $10,000. What will the government do? So this is the tax policy. The tax policy is, if the government, the county government, want to recover the taxes that is not paid by this property owner, what will they do? They will auction out the property, okay, to people. So now understand this: when the county government auctions out this property, they open it up to anyone in the world. So I repeat that, to anyone in the world, and that will mean who? You and me, right? We can all participate in this county auction. So understand, this property goes has a market value of $180,000. What will be the starting bid if the government is going to put this property up? Anyone can make a guess. What will be the starting bid if the government is going to auction out this property? Put in your number. What do you think? 50,000, 70,000, 80,000? Peter says 10K. Anyone else has any guesses? What would be the amount that the government will start to auction off this property? Anyone else can make a guess? Lukman says 5K. All right. So good guesses. So the reality is, Nora says 20K. Right. Thank you, everyone. The government is not interested to actually make money from here. What they want to do is recover, because so by law they only want to recover what is owed to them in terms of the taxation. So they will start off the auction at $10,000. So now remember, this property has a value of how much? 180K, right? So now play along with me. So now the auction is open. All of you are bidders in this auction. Let me know. Put in the chat. So it's starting going at for $10,000. Anyone wants to bid for $10,000, right? For me, the amount 10,000. Anyone want to buy this property? Bid for this property at $10,000. Anyone put in the number in the chat? Don't just give me a thumbs up, right? The amount. Okay, Lukman says 12K. Daisy, you've been outbidden. Anyone higher than 12K? Peter says 15K. All right, this is 180,000 property. Anyone want to bid higher than 15K? Veronica says 20. Anyone higher than 20 going once? 21.5K. Oh, wow, okay, very specific. Lukman says 25K. All right, this is getting exciting. Anyone else want to do more than 25 going once? 28K. Okay, Mutiara says, okay, we will answer Mr. Mutiara's question later. 30K, last call, come on, 30K. Anyone want to do this higher than 30K? It's going at $180,000. Wow, Chin Chong goes for 100K. Okay, for this example, Chin Chong, we I would love to go for the 100K, but for this example, we're just going to play along to 50K. Right? So, Mr. Peter Dunhill, round of applause to Mr. Peter Dunhill. You have actually won this property for $50,000. Okay, and it has a market value of $180,000. Right. So this is the process that Rauf has actually gone through himself. Okay. Now tell me, if you had won this property at 50K, if you were Mr. Peter, right? If you have $50,000, you bought this property at $50,000 now, will you have made money on the buy? Sheikh says that Mr. Chin can have it. Will you make money on the buy? Why for yes and for no? Why for yes and for no? Will you make money on the buy? Yes. So Peter says yes, a lot, right? So you'll be celebrating, right? Because 180K is the market value, but you bought it at 50K. Of course, the other question would be like, there'll be rehab costs and things like that. So of course, these are part of research that we're going to talk about a little bit, how you can buy into the property knowing that you're going to make money upfront. All right. So congrats, Mr. Peter. The good news is some people may be thinking, what if the property has a mortgage loan over there, right? If the owner, previous owner has got mortgage loan, this tax policy will override the mortgage as well. So which means you get clean and clear that $50,000 is what you pay to the county. Whatever outstanding liabilities do not get passed on to you, it is going to be dealt with by the previous owner and the banks. Okay. I know there's going to be a lot of other questions. Go ahead and ask them. My team is going to reply to you as we go along. Okay, I want to show you how easy it is. All right, so you've seen earlier, in earlier example, Ralph had to be in Houston, Texas to go and participate in the auctions, right? So when he came to me, I told him that I'm not going to be flying in to do all these auctions, right? I want to have comfort of home. I want to be able to have this investment without me having to travel here and there. So this is how we do it, right? Basically, we do it online on the county government auctions, county government's website. They run the auctions, and anyone from around the world who has an internet connection can actually participate. Okay, so here's a short video of how it looks like. Take a listen.
$35,000, something like that.
Yeah, and buy my credit card. Something today.
Come on. Come on.
15 seconds. TikTok. 10 seconds. 7.
Come on.
Ah, so cute.
Kita minta ke sana. 355. Macam ni? Itu at 36,000. Fantastic. Fantastic lah. Please fumble lah. Please fumble lah. Don't. Bergerak. Sorry. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Good job.
Right, so
12 cents.
okay, so what you have just witnessed is the whole auction process being done online. And this time of the year, I think it was somewhere January 2020. The group was in Philippines, Manila. We were actually bidding on behalf of our investors that are based in different parts of the world. And this particular property was what we won in that particular auction. We saw the number, the property was won at how much? $36,100. It was a very good pricing. And this was actually owned or co-owned by Mr. Julius Wijaja, based in Jakarta. He put in his own capital of $30,000, and this property has a market value of $105,000. So 36,100 was what we won. So but Julius Wijaja was part of a group of investors who put in funds to get into this particular project. Okay, so you guys understand how it works, right? You don't have to leave your home, but you guys can see he's just chilling out at the coffee shop while Noble Sky as a company was actually buying for him the property. Okay, that's why he looks so happy. Okay, so there's other ways, of course, we buy properties. I spoke about the tax policies, the tax auctions. We can also buy through other means, which is motivated sellers. And sometimes we have also acquired some properties based on motivated sellers, which means sometimes maybe people get a new job, right? And then now they want to move to different areas. So they need to move house. So to sell it off urgently, sometimes they don't want to sell it at the most expensive price because they have time urgency. So sometimes the prices are still sold at below market value. May not be as cheap as the auctions, but still very good pricing. Wholesalers is a very good option for us as well, because wholesalers are people who are the in-between. They look for people who want to sell properties at very low prices based on whatever circumstances they are, and then they just hand over the contracts to the new buyers. Wholesalers are not interested to make lots of money. They just want to do 5,000, 10,000 kind of money, and they're happy with it. Okay, so there's a lot of wholesalers. It's very unique to the US, and that's one of our sources that we can buy properties at very great discounts. Okay, so secret number 2. I hope you guys are ready. Secret number 2 is how then, knowing all of this, how do you participate in the auctions? How do you even get recognized in the US to buy properties over there? Right. So you need to know what the legal setup looks like. Okay. So again, I was in 2018 when Ralph told me, hey, Fahan, you want to buy in the US, in Singapore, it's going to be so expensive. Why not consider US? I say, okay, tell me how I'm going to do it, right? I'm all the way here in Singapore. How am I going to even be buying there? So I'm going to show you how the structure looks like. Okay. I'm going to talk also a little bit about unconventional leverage. It's basically how we utilize or leverage on the community of investors for you to be able to co-own properties in the US without using any kind of bank loan. So earlier on, remember I showed you the model. You do not need to use a bank loan per se if you have a smaller capital amount. Of course, some people 36,100, for example, right? Or the earlier example, 86,000 for property. To them, it's something that you can pay off. It's cheaper than a deposit of a property in their own country. Not some people can do that, but if you have smaller capital amount, how does it work out? I'm going to show you in this structure. Okay, so I want to bring your attention here. This slide is very important because it's going to explain the setup, how it's going to look like, and how the leverage works. Okay, so if there was a couple based in Singapore, okay, hello Singaporeans, and then you have a family based in Malaysia, you have a solo investor in Indonesia, Jakarta, for example, and you have other groups of investors. Relatives, we have investors from 17 different countries. So they are all grouped here. They all buy US real estate using Noble Sky services. And all of these people, when they want to be legally recognized, they need to set up what you call a holding entity, a business, basically a corporation that's set up in the US. And in our case, we set it up in Wyoming State. Okay, Wyoming State being the state where it's very tax efficient. You do not pay taxes to the state, you only pay the federal taxes. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why we do it in Wyoming State. So this is how it's going to look like. Say the Singapore couple has $30,000 here, and they want to buy into rental properties. So we're going to set up for the Singapore couple this holding entity called XYZ LLC, and then they have another 30K. They want to buy into flipping properties. Okay, we set up for them XYZ Inc. in Wyoming State. And then this Malaysian family has 150K. We set up for them QRT LLC. So this is just a fictional name, just for example, for illustration. And this investor from Indonesia has got more capital, got 500K. We set up for him ABC Inc. in Wyoming State. And the other investors, there's 150K here. We set up for them XXYY Inc. and 140K here for XXYY LLC. I will explain the difference between LLC and Inc. Very shortly. Okay, so this is how it works. 30K, can you buy into a property in the US? Based on the examples earlier, you can, right? You can buy property, but sometimes you'll need more than that because you'll need to put in for rehab works. You need to put in, a few other expenses to bring it up to code to make it look good so that you can sell and make money. But 30K if not being enough, so what do? You do what we call co-ownership or leverage with the other investors in the community. Okay, so if you were to combine 30K and 150K here from the other investors, you have a total 180K. Then you buy into a flipping project in Jacksonville, Florida, for example. Okay, so this 123 LLC you can see on screen is set up in Florida because this property is in Florida. The buying entity is called, the operating entity is called, it will be in the state where the property is. So at 180K, when the property is bought, made up to look good, and maybe you put in a swimming pool, you put in new roofs, new walls, or whatever that may be, and once the profit is made, right, you sell it off, the profits will be shared back to the investors according to the proportion of capital they put in. So in this case, the profits will flow back to the Singapore couple at 16.67%, and the other investors at 83.33%. Simple, right? Simple maths. Okay, so now the other side is they want to buy into rental property. So again, the Singapore couple has 30K, not enough to buy into a good rental property, for example. So they buy together with co-own leverage together with the other investors. So now they have 170K. So we set up for them another buying entity or operating entity called 777 LLC, and this time it's in Houston, Texas. So this 777 LLC will be set up in Houston, Texas. No, not in Houston, but in the state of Texas. Okay, so at 170K is a total funds here once you buy into the property, and then there's rental every month, right? So the rental will be shared according to the same proportion, which is 7.64 to the Singapore couple, and then 82.36 to the other investors. Simple. If you got any questions, just type it out in the comments. We'll answer you along the way. Okay, so this other Malaysian family has said at 150K, you have enough to buy into a rental property on your own. this family do not need to, maybe, you know, the 4 of them, maybe including the young adult children, all pool funds together as a family, 150K, they can buy a solo without having to share with anyone. That's possible as well. The solo rental in Niagara, New York. So 150K, do they have to share profits with anyone? No, because they own this entity 8888 LLC at 100%. Okay, so the buying entity in this case, 8888 LLC, is set up in New York and 100% owned by the Malaysian family. So 100% of the profits goes to the Malaysian family. Now here's take a look at the Indonesian investor. He has 500K capital here. Again, he's not sharing with anyone because 100K is enough to buy good property. So it was set up 456 LLC, which is the buying entity, okay, into a solo flip project in California. So he has more capital. He wants to buy into a property, more higher value property he want to buy in San Francisco, California. So at 500K, he bought the property, and say he sold this at 800K, right? So he made the money, the profits, all 100% goes back to him. Simple, makes sense? So this is how the setup look like. So Mutera has a good question. Why do you need to set up buying entity? Because it will separate you from the holding entity. Any liabilities on that property will only be limited to that particular buying entity first. And the next thing is because of where the state or where the property is. So in a different state, you will want to set up a different entity for that particular property. Next thing, point number 3, is for taxation purposes. So we do not mix the expenses involved into buying one property from the next, all lumped in within one entity. This throughout 2014 to now 2021, 7 years, is what we have already perfected this whole idea of making it the most tax efficient. Okay, so we set it up in this way. All right, so I hope that answers your question, Mr. Mutera, and thank you, Veronica, as well, for answering Mr. Mutera. Right, secret number 3, how do you 10x your returns? If currently your money is just sitting in the bank or in a very safe investment, there's no fault with safe investments at all. Okay, we understand you, especially, you know, you don't want to take on risk. But I hope you start to see how we buy properties in the US. When you have numbers up front, it becomes a lot more predictable and hence it can be safer. Right? Now the question is, will it make a difference if you are getting 3% returns versus 30% returns? Okay, these are what people are maybe involved in, right? I know you out there, maybe you have fixed deposits, you have stocks, crypto, business dividends, REITs. There's many options out there. Different investment vehicles has different risks and different returns. Agreed? So it's always good to diversify, but if you're looking at real estate, then consider this carefully. Okay, for our targeted returns in the US is that if you were to buy into a flipping property, which means you buy the property at low price, you rehab, make it look good, you sell for profit, we target for our investors minimum of 30%. Okay, if you were to do rental, remember the earlier example, you can buy into flipping and then you can buy into rental. For rental yield, we are targeting minimum 10%. And if you were to buy into Airbnb, which means the property to be put for Airbnb, we target for the Airbnb returns to be 15%. Okay, so these numbers are what we target for investors. A lot of the times we do better than this. Okay, but this is our baseline, which means if these numbers are not what we can forecast upfront, okay, based on our research, based on the numbers we have on the ground, we are not going to even consider that property. You guys get it? Right. So of course, this is the 8th wonder of the world. Is that right? So 3% versus 30% annual growth in terms of a compounded returns. Will it make a difference? Yes or no? If your money was put in an investment that makes 3% versus 30%, will it make a difference? Why for yes and for no? Why? Yes, right, makes a difference. Right? I want to show you this graph. What will happen to your money? So for example, let's take a look at 10 years compounding and you have $50,000. Mr. Chin Chong Ho has a very good question. How long is time period to flip? Very good question. Veronica has already answered that very quickly. Thank you, Veronica. So we look at this example. If you have $50,000 today, which I think some of you already have, $50,000 seated, and you're thinking, where should I put my money? Right? Everything else looks interesting but volatile. Crypto, very high returns, but the next day or the next hour, that value can drop by half or more. You know, where should you put it? So now think about this. If you want to put it in a place that's a lot more predictable, this is the kind of numbers you can look at. Okay. The orange line is the 3% line. If you were to put in 50K and it compounds at 3% every year for 10 years, your money will grow to 67,195.82. Not too bad, right? 50K grows to 67,195 without you doing anything, right? So the money grows. I'm happy with that. But will you be happier if you were in investment that grows at 20% compounded yearly, that money will grow to 309,586.82. Okay, so if you were, you want to fund your children's university, for example, I think 309 will probably achieve that goal, right? You want to send them overseas or for example, to study overseas, probably is going to cover all of the costs. But if you were to put it into an investment that does 30%, that same 50K is going to grow to 689,292.46. Okay, who loves the 30% line? Give me a thumbs up if you love the 30% line. Okay, I love it because my 50K will definitely grow higher, right? But the last line, I did this last line just for fun. This is the 45% line. Why do I do this 45% line? Because it's just I want you to be able to imagine, right? Your same money, 50K, will grow to $2.05 million in the same 10 years period. It's the same $50,000 seed capital if you are doing an investment that does 45%. Okay. Why do I even put 45% line? That is because the reality is in the year 2020, the average returns for our flipping properties that we do for our investors, of course, some are higher, some are lower. The average return was 45%. So this was the kind of returns that we were doing for the investors in US real estate. So again, as I've mentioned, some years it may be higher, may be lower, but our baseline returns for flipping, for example, will always be 30%. Okay, so I hope this gives, opens up your imagination a little bit and help you make a decision that, okay, if I want to be able to grow my money fast within the next 10 years, for example, I want it to be in a vehicle that can give me great returns, that's at least going to be double-digit returns and not just single-digit returns. Okay, so this is what you have learned so far. Secret number one, which is how to buy properties at 70 to 80% discount. Give me a thumbs up if this is what you like. Okay, thumbs up. You like how this works? Okay, so at the auctions you can buy 70 to 80%. This is not something you can get anywhere else in your own country, for sure. Okay, how do you then legally set up? Okay, this is what we have learned as well, the structure of how you set up the business entities, your holding entities, together with the operating entities, and how you can leverage with the other investors in the community if your capital size was smaller. Then how do you 10x your returns? We just covered that. So now the question is, are you ready for more? All right, are you ready for more? Give me a Y for yes if you're ready for more, or N for no if you're, this is not interesting for me at all. Okay, all right, so thank you guys for the Ys, because I know that you guys want more. So let me give you some more, and this is totally free for you, but I need you to do a little bit of work for me, just a little bit. Okay, this is what I'm going to share with you, some resources that Rauf has created, 7 simple steps. This is through his 7 years of experience investing as a foreigner in the US, 7 steps to start investing in the US. Resource number 2 is 17 research criteria that how to run a profitable investment in the US. And this 17 research criteria is what we utilize for ourselves to buy properties profitably in the US. And this point number 3, this resource number 3 is really amazing, because this is what only paying clients get. Okay, our paying clients get this, which is property research analysis. So remember, we talked about research. So we want to, we've done up this research already, 3 actual properties in the US with all of the breakdowns, the numbers, the projected returns. All right, this is what we will be giving to you. This has a value of $197. I think it's gonna actually has a much higher value than that. But we just need your help a little bit, okay? Because we believed in US real estate being a really good vehicle for people to grow their money, right? And I'm sure today you can know people who can actually use this same vehicle, not just yourself, also friends, family, who can use this vehicle to actually grow their money and achieve their financial goals. So I just need your help to do this for me. Send us a positive review, because a positive review will help us gain more reach, which help us gain more eyeballs to what we have to offer. And with more credibility, basically means it's something that, they will be able to, put more attention to, so that they can actually start looking at US real estate as something that they can do. Right, so do me a favor. You want these resources that's free for you, just do me this favor. You can take a screenshot. You need not do it right now. Okay, take a screenshot of this. Put in the review either on Google or on Facebook. Go ahead and do that. Share one lesson from today, what you have learned and why that is your favorite lesson. Okay, share one favorite lesson from today and why that is your favorite lesson. Share it on Google review or Facebook review. Then send us a screenshot to the WhatsApp number below, and we'll send you the download links. Okay, so this is for you just for staying true with us tonight. So for those of you who found all of this interesting and want more, right? So this is for you, and I'm going to share with you more case studies for you to see what it looks like in the US. Okay, so this is a property in Walden, New York. Actual property, all properties that we showcase here tonight are actual properties owned by investors in our community. Okay, so this property, okay, okay, and Miss Andrea, right? 30%. That's not how it works. It's not 30% less 21% profit tax. So there is calculation on taxation is very different from, it's not 21% from the profits. It's not like that. Okay, we will show you. I think this one will require a bit more detail. The one who's been in touch with you will show you the actual breakdowns of what it looks like. Okay, so I think that will help you more than me trying to explain verbally right now. Okay, so the example here in Walden, New York is a property. Has a market value of $236,000. We spent a total of 110K because it was acquired at the auction for only 42K. It was very cheap, right? But we knew upfront, because we've done our research, that we needed to put in quite a bit of rehab, which is about 65K, and then all the miscellaneous expenses going to cost around 3K. But will it be worth it? Even spending 110K? Come on, 110K in your own country probably not going to buy you a full property, right? But here, 110K buys you the whole property with everything done up. But it has a market value of 236K, which means there's an immediate equity gain of 126,000. And we sold this property at 215K, and this made an ROI for the investors involved in this particular project, a 95.45% returns. Love it. Why for yes if you love the 95.45, and for no? Okay, why? For yes and for no. Okay. Right. Any of you like 95.45%? I love this. This was one of our best deals that we did for our investors. So this is a very good number. Again, you can see there's a disclaimer down there. These numbers may not be reflective of what we can get in the future, but we're very confident of the way we do things and how we can actually continue to achieve this for investors. Do you do the rehab work? Yes, we do the rehab works as well. So it's all in-house. Noble Sky International does this in-house for you, so you have everything controlled. You are the business owner. Okay, you are not. You do not just put in your money into a fund. You are the business owner. We work for you. Okay. Yeah. So Lukman, yes, we do have people on the ground. That's what I'm sharing with you as well. How it looks like. Okay. So this property, you can see this was the property that was won at $42,000 at the auctions. You can see the deed is paid out to the investors there, the buying entity. Okay. So this is how the property looks like on the inside. So the outside looks fine, right? And the inside look quite horrible. When you buy properties from the auctions, you may be prepared to know that property is probably not going to be well kept, right? Not well upkept, because people who can't pay taxes, generally, they can't take care of their houses. And this was how it looks like. The roofing was problematic. The kitchen was in shambles. Everything was a mess, but that was not really a problem because we have done our research and we knew we we're going to make good money from here. So we put in all of the rehab work, spend the money that's necessary. And by the time everything was done up, this was how it looks like when things were properly done up already. We were ready to sell it off. Right? So this is a process that we do for you. So that property was sold. So Mr. Richard Jenny, remember him earlier, the property on the top, he was part of the capital group of people who put in capital for this particular project, and he got part of that 95.45% returns on his money based on that one particular property. Okay. Right, so this rental case study, this is what we've shown you earlier as well. This is a property in Jacksonville, Florida for 145K. Market value, we spent only 86.4. And with that, we did have equity gain. So understand about rental property, right? And from rental properties, you make money on the rental, but you also know you're sitting on very good equity upfront already. So which means if you decide that, okay, after 1 year doing rentals, I'm already making positive cash flow, right? All the P's earlier you put in a P is positive. You already make positive rentals, but you also know you are sitting on equity that once you sell this rental property, you're still going to make money on the sale as well. So you make double the income. So here, in this case, you do not just make money on a rental, you also make on the sale of the property if you so decide to later. Okay, there are other strategies we can look at, but we will discuss that later. Okay, so that property, this blue property, was actually beige, brown when we first got it. You can see the one climbing through the window was actually Ralph. When we won this at the auctions, the county didn't give us the keys. The county said, okay, look, the property is now yours. You do what you need to do to gain access. So of course, the least expensive way was to actually go through the window and not to break down any doors, right? So there's Ralph coming in. Again, as mentioned, properties bought at auction sometimes look this bad, or it could look even worse. But that's not a problem as long as we know how to make this ugly property on a pretty street look good and then sell it off. Okay, so we put in all the works necessary, and then it was how it looks like on the inside, and we put it up for rental. How many of you like this before and after view? I love this. Give me a thumbs up. I love this view. When I look at this, it feels so soothing. It's like, wow, it looks so nice. If I was the tenant, I would be happy to be renting this property as well, right? Okay, so you don't have to worry, because this is the kind of things that we do for you in the US. Okay, so this Mr. Majaldi, he is one of the investors who was involved in this portfolio of properties. He was, I remember him very, very fondly, because he was the first part of the first workshop that we ran in Jakarta. So Mr. Majaldi was there. I remember speaking to him. He was a retiree. He needed to find a place to put his money where his money can grow. Even as a retiree, he can continue to have money growing, right? So he decided to test the market a little bit. He said, I'm going to just put in $5,000. So we told him, okay, go ahead. But he was part of a big group of capital raise for this few properties. And that property grew by 220% in terms of portfolio value, because remember, buy at discount and then the value grew. So even his 5,000, even if he had put in only $5,000, his portfolio value grew just by the same amount. All right. So here's Mr. Kamal Zaman, a good friend of mine as well, previously in the police force. He has retired. Again, similarly, people who are retired, they will want to put in their money in a place where it can continue to grow. He was with me since 2018, investing, and after getting his returns, he decided, okay, in 2020, he decides to go into rental as well, because that gives him two types of income. He gets the flipping properties income, and then he also gets the rental income on a monthly basis from his portfolio, right? So this is how he works. So says that we basically do all of the work on his behalf, and he just needs to enjoy the returns. I will share with you at this point what we did in December. No, this was November 2019. We flew in our team to Houston, Texas, and we invited investors to join us on the ground. I think this is one of the questions was being asked, right? Whether we have teams on the ground. And so we invited the investors to join us on the ground to take a look at how we do things on the ground. So we brought them along to look at some properties, and we were joined by 15 investors then. We had from Malaysia, from Indonesia, Singapore, as well as one from Vietnam. So they joined us to take a look at how we did our work on the ground. So just take a listen. Right, so the last property you saw is a very beautiful property, right? It didn't look like those auction property where it's inside it's horrible. It looks good, because this was one of those properties that was sold by motivated sellers. The owners of this property inherited this property. Their parents passed away, so they just wanted to basically liquidate and then be able to share the money, right? So the realtor was telling us that, okay, it's gonna be sold at a good price. So this particular property, when the investors saw it, they were so excited, because the realtor was also there, the seller's realtor. They were telling us the numbers, and they were very excited to see, like, okay, we want to buy and take this property. So we told them, okay, let us do the numbers and check out for you what this project can be good for. So we discovered this area in Houston, Texas, where this property will be very good for Airbnb. Okay, so we told them, okay, the numbers check out, look good. Let's put them up on Airbnb. This property didn't require much rehab, but of course it was. We didn't have to do any rehab, but we needed to put in finishing costs so that we can put it up for Airbnb. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. Okay, when we look at these numbers, this property at that current time has a market value of $370,000. This property in Houston, Texas. Okay, we acquired it at $270,000. So it's a bit more expensive, right? But it's a huge property, and we didn't need to do any kind of rehab works. We put in about 10K worth of furnishings, and total expense was 285K. We still earn a healthy 85K equity. But we projected for the investors then, we told them, okay, we put it up, Airbnb, looking at all the rental numbers, the Airbnb numbers around the area, we're probably going to do about 45K income a year. and that's going to give you about 15.79%. So let's take a look at what kind of numbers this property actually did. Just some interior pictures. So the property was initially empty, so we put in all of the furniture that you can see here, only about $10,000. Furnitures do not need to be brand new because it's going to be second-hand the moment somebody stays on it, right? But what we buy brand new are electronics so that we can get the warranty. So like television, the rice cooker, kettle, and things like that. Okay. So when we first put it up in August of 2020, this property did 4,998 in terms of Airbnb income. You can see the dashboard on the left is the Airbnb dashboard, the amount of money that was being paid. So in October was 2,823. There's actually, this property also put out on VRBO. There's an additional platform similar to Airbnb. So the combined income will be 3,768 then. In November 2020 was 4,796. Not too bad, right? In December 2020 was 4,110. So not bad. We're still doing better than what we expected. In January, it dipped 2,377. Okay, so 2,377, why? Because it coincided with a period of time when COVID was going high in the US, and the US government was telling people to stay home, not to travel. Okay, so the numbers did for a while. But after, you know how the US is, they're very resilient. Said, okay, now we're not going to stay in after things stabilize. So in February, people started traveling again. It was like take revenge. Now I've been held back from my travels. Now I want to travel more. Why Airbnb became popular is because basically people don't want to stay in hotels with strangers, but they want to stay in with their own family in Airbnbs. Okay, so in March it did 9,394. April did 3,974. Again, this was coincided with rise in COVID numbers. People held back a little bit, and then it went up again in May 2021. Did 10,541. June did 7,230. July 7,421. It's continued to do very good numbers, but we took the last 12 months, the 12 months numbers, to give you a total of $71,000 in terms of Airbnb income. Remember, we projected 45K for the investors, but here in this case we did 71,000 on this particular property, which is an average of 5,922 per month. Okay, so this represents about 25.95% returns on the money for the investors. Okay, so Mr. Chin Chong Ho, so you're asking about ROIs, property tax. So if you were to look at the very details of everything, there will be, of course, property tax will be after you calculate everything, right? You put in all your gross income, gross profits, and then you reduce property tax and everything. So this ROI right now is we're looking at is gross, okay? But if we're gonna look at the numbers later, we're gonna get someone who will tell you more about the others, okay? Miss Ely is asking about financing. Okay, so financing will be at this stage for someone who's a foreigner. Okay, so someone who's a foreigner, you will to come into the US and get financing generally be challenging. Why? Because the banks do not know you. You do not have a credit score. They have nothing to fall back on to give you a loan. So generally for first-time buyers, what we do for them is the advice is to leverage. Remember, co-ownership, you put in your funds together with other people, get into a property that is income producing first. Okay, so when it's income producing, that is something that you can hedge on. Okay, so in terms of like collateral, but it needs to be income producing for at least about 6 months to 1 year first. There is an advice which we will give you at a later point in your investment journey. Okay, so this is the Airbnb trend in the US. Why people are staying in Airbnb, and like, you know, why is it making money? Is because now there's a lot of change in trends, which means people now can work from home, right? So now they decide that, okay, since I can work from home, might as well I go on a holiday. I stay for a month in my Airbnb, and at the same time I do my work. So they can be on working and they can be on holiday at the same time. So the trend in Airbnb is that people are staying at 28 nights or longer, and that is becoming a trend in the US, where people are staying in the Airbnbs for very long periods of time. So it's a very good period of time for you to actually be involved in Airbnb projects. Okay, so at this stage I've covered a lot of different examples. Okay, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer Airbnb, rental, traditional rental, flipping, or all of the above? Type in the chat for me. Let me know. Which one do you like best? Airbnb, rental, flipping? Andrew likes flipping. Peter likes all. Okay. Anyone else? Any preference? You can make up your mind. Personally, I love all of the above. And for myself, my own portfolio, I put in capital in different types of projects, in Airbnb, rental, as well as flipping, so that I diversify. At the same time, I'm enjoying great returns from all the projects that I'm involved in personally. Okay, so this is something that you can look at as well. Okay, the next question is, I think we're going to get to the part where a lot of the technical questions on how do we do this and everything, right? So how do you, whether should you attempt this on your own? So this is I will answer this for you. Basically, no, don't do this on your own because it's going to take you so much of your time and energy. All right, but for fair for fair comparison, to let you know, be well informed, you need to know the numbers. Okay, I'm going to share with you the secret now. How do you make everything passive, right? That's exactly what I have benefited from, because I didn't think that I'm going to be able to fly and handle all of these property projects myself. Okay, this is what it would cost you if you decide to do this on your own. Remember, you're going to do the setup, the proper setup, tax efficient setup. You need to incorporate a business entity in the US. This is going to cost you about 1,600 in terms of professional fees, and then for 2 years at least you need to get this company running for 2 years. You know, if you're doing a flip, it's going to take at least 9 to 15 months. You need to have your company up for 2 years. All of this taxation, bookkeeping, everything needs to be done and complied with. So all of this needs to be there. Legal documentations and everything need to be submitted. Okay, so you want to make sure all of this is done. It's going to cost you all of this in professional fees, research, analysis, acquisition. If you, some of the questions being asked, right, how much is the management fee, how much, actually all of these fees are not just on the properties. Imagine if you were to pay somebody to do all of the research works and everything, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Okay, then there'll be rehab, rental management, who's going to run all of the show for you. All this is going to cost you a lot of money, and you need to get listing, to list the properties for sale, for example, and then you need to get realtors and all of the commissions and things that is going to cost you more money. And if you were to be the one handling this on your own, you need to travel up and down. So in a single year, annual travel fees is probably going to cost you 15K or more, up and down, and then cover your flight, lodging, car, food, and everything. And you're probably going to be traveling with your partner, for example. It's going to cost you a lot of money. And at a ballpark, all of this is going to cost you at least $43,780 minimum to run this on your own. Now, let me know, as an investor, would you rather pay $43,000 in terms of expenses in running the business, or would you rather use this money as capital for investment? Which would it be for you? Will you rather do this as investment? Type I for me, I investment, or you would do this yourself, S for self, you do this for self, S, or I, you would put this money for investments. 43K. Check. Haziq says I. Anyone else thinks that it makes more sense for the money to be put in investment rather than expenses? All right, so I see all the I, so I'm happy that you guys agree with me, because I wouldn't want to put my money in terms of running a business. I would rather use that money to grow and then make money from there. All right, not in terms of expenses. Okay, even if you do have 43K, some people say, nah, 43K is just small change and I can actually do all of this myself. Reality is, even if you do have that 43K to run your business, do you actually have this? Do you actually have time? I think a lot of us want to do this, right? Investment, because we want to have more time and not to actually give birth to more children, which is your business, to start running more and then losing more time. Okay, you want time freedom. So instead, a lot of us do not want to spare that time to run this business. Okay, then capital limitation. So some of you are already asking about financing. So if you have the limited capital, which all of us do have, not all of us are the Bill Gates or the Elon Musk out there, right? We have very limited capital, and we want to learn how do we leverage and how do we do this. So think about, if you do this on your own, will you be able to, go all out to run the business and then to put in all the expenses, work and things like that? Think about that. And then again, even if you do have time and capital, will you have the experience, or do you have the experience to run this on your own? Okay, so these were the exact questions I had in my own minds when I decided to, do this investment. So I asked Rauf, I don't have the time, I do not have that much capital to start out with, and then definitely I do not know how to get things working in the US. So this is what Rauf offered me, and this is what we are offering to you tonight. So basically, how do you make all of this passive? Okay, as promised earlier, where you own the business 100%. Okay, but it is done for you, which means Noble Sky does the service for you. So this is called the Sky Invest service, value at 37,180, because we do all of the list of services for you. I'm going to share with you in detail what it entails. Okay, so at this stage, this is where we tell you that, okay, you don't have to attend any more workshops or coaching or anything like that. That is, to us, in investment sense, doesn't make sense, because that time should not be spent for you learning so much more, trying to figure out on your own. That time should be allowed for your money to work and grow. You guys get it? Okay, so this is what Ms. Serene Key has to say about using our Sky Invest services.
Hi, I'm Serene. I used to be a banker dealing with investments, and I handed over more than 100 million worth of funds from my high net worth clients. So I'm actually pretty exposed to all kinds of investments. But from young, actually, I'm also very passionate about investments and always look around for good opportunities. So when I heard about this opportunity from Noble Sky, I felt that it was an interesting idea, the way they did it. So me and my husband decided to invest more than 250,000 into our investments. And I would say that I'm pretty happy with so far with what I see. We have some in near Niagara Falls, and some near New York City, I believe, because we participated in a few. And I think there was also a private auction that was conducted for us. So I'm very pleased with the service. And then I think we managed to get some good buys. And I personally went down with the Noble Sky team on the US tour to see how it's actually done. So it was very interesting, and they really followed to what they have said. It's a very disciplined way of buying US property. So I'm happy with how it's handled. And actually, one of the projects currently is being the property which I personally saw when I went to the US. It was called Dom Blush. It's actually being rented as an Airbnb property, and that has been giving us decent rental income. Every month we'll be receiving some returns. So I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Okay, actually, I went for the course that Noble Sky conducted as well. I mean, they actually show hand and let you know everything that you need to know. I would say actually the whole process is not that easy, but however, Noble Sky, they made it easy for us, and I leave it to them really to handle the rest. They got their CPA, they have their team of people, and also they have their own ground team in the US looking out for us. So I guess our investments is well taken care of, and I feel comfortable. Definitely, I feel that they are professional, they're responsible, and if you are looking for some investments or some, like let's say, US properties to diversify your portfolio, I think it's a wise choice to go with Noble Sky. This is my take. Yeah.
Right, thank you, Ms. Serene Keys, for sharing with us your journey with working with Noble Sky. So she's from Singapore, and that's what she has got to say. So I want to share with you what the Sky Invest service is made up of. Okay, this is what you're going to get. Remember, first and foremost, we're going to set things up for you. So if you decide to do rental or flipping or both, we will do this for you wherever you're from. Okay, we will set up for you your holding entity in the state of Wyoming, and then later your buying entities in the state where the property is. Okay, so for example, in Texas, this is what we do for you. You don't have to do it yourself. Okay, and for example, your question will be like, how do I know if you really register for me, my company, right? So very simple, you go to the government's website, which is Wyoming State's website, Secretary of State, you go in, you'll be able to see your company name, you decide on the company name. So of course, some of us, have our own ideas, right? You want it to be like Farhan's Property Empire. So I can name that Farhan Property Empire LLC. So in this case, it's called Blue Fire. Oh, wow. So yeah, so it's Blue Fire, and this you can see the name of the directors is Faizan, Abdul Rahan, and Mirawati Sadono. They are from Jakarta, so they are the directors of the company. They are owners of the company. Then you can see Rauf's name, Abdul Rauf Muhammad Said, as a president. So he is not the director is not the owner, but being the president in this case gives him the executive or the management authority to run the business on behalf of Mr. Faizan and Mirawati. Okay, so that's what we'll do for you. So when your business registered, you can see your own registration details in the state of Wyoming's website. Okay, and then the next thing that you need to ensure once your business is set up is to ensure that taxation and bookkeeping is done. So these are the kind of forms that we submitted for our investors, which is yourself if you decide to come on board. So this is Mr. Janie's entity. We set up for him the corporate income tax forms, all this submitted for him, and then all these other forms that need to put in. For example, this particular property is for foreign-owned US corporation, right? Which is yourself and myself. You'll be a foreign-owned US corporation. If you don't submit this filing on time, you will actually be slapped with a 30K penalty. Okay, so a 30K fine penalty. I do not know about you. Again, 30K for me, I would rather put that as capital in my investment and let it grow than paying the IRS in terms of penalty. It just doesn't make sense. So all of this is what we take care of for you. You do not need to worry about having to do or taking care of any of this yourself. So we stack this up for you. These are what we have done. And then corporate compliance package. So if you set up a business corporation, generally you need to do some kind of filing, you need to do some kind of submissions. And this is also what you do even in Singapore, right? You have to set up a company through ACRA, you need to submit documents to ensure that you're not fooling around. And then especially in the case of how you're structured in the US, you need to make sure you have shareholder agreements, especially in the case where you do co-ownership, you need the shareholder agreements. Even if it is within your family, husband, wife, children, for example, you can put up a shareholder agreement so everybody is clear and there's no conflict in terms of ownership, percentage of ownership in the business. Okay. So these are the documents that you will draft and do for you. And all you need to do is to sign these documents online. You do not need to leave your home at all. The US accepts digital signatures as legal. Okay, the US accepts digital signatures as legal, so you do not need to leave your home, meet the lawyers anywhere, just need to do it online, right? So that is taken care of for you. The next part is the major part, right? So once you get everything set up, then you want to make sure you buy into the right property. So how does that work out? So I think some of you earlier have asked this question, who does the sourcing of the properties? How do we research and everything? This is what we do for you. Remember, I've shown you an example of investment analysis. So we identify, so for example, you tell us, okay, I'm interested to look at rental. So we will send you a rental analysis based on the returns that we are targeting for you. So remember, for 10% at least, right? So we look at some properties, we do all of the research for you. We do very deep level research. All of these numbers will be privy to you, which means as an investor, as a business owner, right? All of these numbers, once we punch in, if you decide, I want to verify the data for myself, we can go ahead, we'll let you have access to all of these research numbers. And then you can verify the data that we have run. But most of the investors who are involved, in fact, I think 99% of the investors are involved, they don't even bother to want to look at all of this because they know the kind of research, deep level research that we go through is verifiable. Okay, you can check this on your own and then you can just leave it to Noble Sky. That's what you are partnering with us for, so that we can do all of this for you. So if the numbers do not meet the type of returns that we are targeting, we will not even share to you this particular property. So after we do all of the numbers, nah, this is bad. So this is not something that we're going to show you. But say we decide, okay, this looks like a good property. What is next? So I think earlier someone was asking, do you have people on the ground to verify the property and things like that? In fact, we do. We don't just do paper research. We actually send a scout on the ground to have a personal look at the property. So this scout part of our US team in the US, and they are trained to look at real estate. They are trained to look at areas and approximate and give us good approximates of the rehab cost that's going to get involved. So this property was what we shortlisted, we wanted to buy. So we sent down the scout. So take a quick listen to what he has to say about this property.
We are at 624 Lawton Avenue. This house is vacant. You can tell by the stuff on the side of the road. Whomever tenants were, they're no longer in here. This house does have an old metal roof. So to convert this roof over, you have to go with 3/4 plywood and architectural shingles. So this roof was probably going to be about $6,800 to $7,000. That is stucco with siding. So you're probably looking at another $3,500 on the outside. Rehab on the inside is probably about $30,000. So I'm gonna say this rehab is probably gonna be somewhere around 40, 45. Once again, this is 624 Lawton Ave.
All right, so you can see the scout will go down, we'll look at the major parts of the house, the roofing, the sidings and everything, the structure, and the whole neighborhood. Give us, he says it's going to cost about at least 40 to 45K. So what we'll do is we'll go back to our research, punch in these numbers, and then we see whether the targeted return still stands. Okay, you guys get it? Let me know whether you feel safer that somebody has been on the ground to look at your properties before you buy. Why for yes, you feel safer, and for no, you don't feel safer. Which one do you think is better? That you have a property scout on the ground or not? Yes? Peter says, yep, safer for sure, right? So this is the kind of due diligence we do for you. We don't take things for granted. You know, like how Ralph has experienced himself previously, just bought on emotions. He didn't even have actual sight of the property and ended up buying a property that was no good at all. Okay, so this is what we do for you. The lengths we go through to ensure that we get into properties that will make sense for you. So we want to protect your interest and your investment first and foremost. Okay. So what next will we do for you as well? So then goes into the research analysis, right, and acquisition. So once we do that already, the property is acquired, we will do rehab. So again, many of the questions are being asked earlier. How do we do rehab? Who manages it and all that? So great thing is these are done by our partners on the ground. And you look at the pictures here. It's actually on the left is a before and the right is after. No, the top is before, bottom is after. So we saw the rehab pictures, but we're going to show you this short video of what a rehab work can look like in its media.
Sagging pretty bad. So we're having to bring it back up, get some new piers under it, get it back to level where it's flat across again. We're going to take this wall out, open it up, bring it open so we can kind of run our living room and our kitchen area.
Okay, so you can see that how do we get things done when we are headquartered in Singapore, and then who's the one handling for us? So one of our strategic partners on the ground is Mr. Ray Dias. He has 40 years of real estate experience. He has done big deals, major deals for himself in commercial properties, hotels, but that's not the point. The point is he actually specializes in rehab in the US. So a lot of the places where we buy the properties, Ray Dias is the one that is on the ground managing the projects on our behalf, and which is also on your behalf, and we deal with him on a daily basis to get project updates and make sure things are moving, right? So we have partners on the ground to make sure that this is being done, taken care of for you, right? Next question would be like, okay, so that was for flipping, rehab. How about rental and Airbnb? Especially for Airbnb, rental is a one-time, right? Once the tenant comes in, they stay in for the long term. They sign a contract, maybe 12 months, they stay in there for 12 months. We do not, as the landlord, you do not need to do very much. But imagine if it was Airbnb, Airbnb is like a hotel, right? So once the family comes in, they need everything to be ready. The question is, once they leave and everything is in a mess, who takes care of all the mess? Who puts everything back together? Who refreshes the towels and all of the supplies in there, right? Somebody has to do that. So this is what we do for you as well. You need not have any hand in it at all. So this was the property which you saw earlier. This is the listing on Airbnb. It has very good reviews. People who have stayed there, the reason why it's giving very good income for the clients, for the investors, is because this property has very good reviews. So cumulatively, more and more good reviews come in, more people want to come in, more people want to stay there when they're in the area. Question is, how do we get good reviews? Is because we have people like our strategic partner, Mr. Chris Mudin, on the ground as well, very experienced, who takes care of all your rental and your Airbnb projects on the ground. He manages the team that manages your property. So you guys get it? So you do not need to be there to take care of any of this. It's taken care of for you. So you can see that a lot of them actually praise the host. So the host has been good, take care of our needs, make sure everything is in order and everything like that. And that's why people keep coming back and paying high prices per night to stay in the Airbnbs, because we have people like Mr. Chris Moody who takes care of your Airbnbs and your rentals for you. Okay, you guys get it? So this is what we do for you as well. You do not need to lift a finger. Okay, so after that is done, what else do we do? So say a property is now ready for sale. For us to be able to get good prices or the best prices out there, we need to list the property properly, right? So this is a property which we have done, about to be put on listing. So we do what we call staging.
Okay, so main entrance, entering the living room. So there you go. This house is almost done, and this is the living room. And over here in the kitchen, we are almost done installing the cooking hood. And this is the other living room with a fireplace. Okay, we've repainted the entire house.
Right, so that's of course part of a longer video walkthrough of the property. So everything, we put in all of the furniture so it looks good, so people can have a better idea how it's going to look like if they were to buy the property for themselves. Okay, this is called staging, and we do that all of this for you as well. Right, so when we do staging, you can fetch better prices and you get better offers, because people get better idea of how it's gonna look like. So this property was in Howe Drive, Jacksonville, Florida. This was in 2020, belonging to this operating entity called Six Sky LLC. So this property bought under Six Sky LLC, which was co-owned by a few other investors. Okay, this was sold at $165,000 in the market. This is another property in Emerald Valley. Okay, this belong to Tree Sky LLC, so the text is a little bit small. I do apologize. This had an initial offer of 128,000. Okay, but the owners, the buyer wanted to buy, but they failed in their loans with the banks. So what happened was a new offer came in at a higher price. Instead of 128, it was sold at $146,000. So the market being a very good market on the uptrend, because you can see this was in August 2020. August 21st, 2020. So this was quite recent last year. So this is what we do for investors. The market is going up, so prices, when somebody failed in terms of buying this property, the next price that goes in, the next offer that goes in goes higher. So this was this property you've seen, right? So this had an earlier offer when we put this up for sale. An offer was made at 185K. Similar situation, people, the buyer couldn't get a loan to buy this property. So in the end, we had to release this property, and a new offer came in. Instead of 185, it came in at 205,900. So it's a better offer. But before this buyer could exercise, another offer came in at 215. So imagine from 115K, and within just a span of I think about 1 month plus, two new offers came in, and we of course took the higher number, this 215K. And of course, the investors who own this property were happy because it was able to fetch a higher price for them, which means the ROI increases. All right. So this is how we do this. So this was in November of 2020. Okay. So all of that taken care of for your sales and listing. All right. So now, after some people, they buy into multiple projects, the question will be like, okay, I have this project, I'm involved in this. How do I keep track of all of my investments, right? Probably this is what you're going to be thinking about. So say now you already start everything up and running, you already put in your capital, Noble Sky has bought for you several properties. Do you then put notes, take on your own notes, put in like, in your own book and try to track everything? The good news is we have invested for our investor community at no additional cost to you in the month of July this year. In fact, this was pretty recent. We invested into industry standard software that allows you to track your investment returns. Okay, and this is how it looks like. I'll share with you a short video of how it looks like on the inside.
Welcome to the AppFolio Investor Portal. This is a back-end view of an actual client's portfolio. Right, once you're logged in, you can see the dashboard, which will give an oversight of all of your investments. Okay, so you can see here, these are the contributions, and these are where the 3 properties are in this particular portfolio in New York, in Jacksonville, Florida, as well as in Texas. So there's a tab on the left for tax forms. There's nothing here right now. And documents on the left, you can see these are the type of documents that you will be signing with Noble Sky, as well as things like the tax deed. Let's take a look at one of them right now. So this tax deed, as you are seeing right now, is for Burgoyne Drive in Jacksonville, Florida. So you can see that this property now has been titled to your holding entity. All right. So these are all being kept in your AppFolio portal. So distributions will show how much returns have been given to you. So what you're looking at right now is rental returns on these different dates and the amounts for the rental property in this particular portfolio. Right. Contributions, what amount of capital that has been contributed for different projects. So take a look at one of them. So this particular project, for example, has a total contribution of 68,000, and you can see there's 100% ownership here. Okay, and there are 3 members in this particular holding entity, so each of them put in different amounts. So they you can see the ownership over there. Right, so this property, this is a picture, and the current market value is about 138,000. So remember, you bought it at 68,000, and it has a current market value of 138,000. Right, so this is again an overview of the returns right now. Okay, so that's about it. This is what you get as an investor, be able to see what it looks like, your portfolio in the back end.
All right, I love this AppFolio software because it made my life easier as I expanded on my portfolio in the US, I needed something like this, which was very helpful for me. At a glance, I can see the property status and updates and the kind of money I've made. You know, most of us, right, we'll be excited to see your ROI, and you'll be wanting to count how much money have I made, and then whether I want to decide to put in more money or not. Right? So this portal helps you to make that kind of decision. Okay, so this is what we provide for you. This has a value of 8,400 because basically the software costs a lot of money. Okay, so this has total value of 37,180. All right, you need not be paying this amount of money because understand, even if we were to price this at $10,000, I think this will make a lot of sense because this is something that you do not need to lift a finger to be able to do for yourselves, right? But today you're not going to be spending $10,000 at all. I'm going to be sharing with you how you're going to be able to potentially get this whole package for free. Okay, I want to share with you. This is something you're interested in. Stay on for a little bit longer. I'm going to show you some of the bonuses that's going to make this whole investment startup, this fee, this Sky Invest is going to be almost free for you, or potentially even more than free. Okay, we have every tool, resources, and solutions to help you succeed, and that's reality because this is what we've been doing for our clients since 2014, and especially so 2018 onwards. And if you were to just do any research out there, we are probably the only company in Asia to offer such a service to people within this area, right? To invest into US real estate. You probably won't find anyone else who can do what we do. And yeah, so we want you to take advantage of our expertise, take advantage of our resources so that you can actually start to get the kind of returns that you deserve. Okay, right. So remember, if you want to do this for yourself, you can go ahead. But it's going to cost you for the 3,780. It probably doesn't make sense to you. In our case, it's gonna we're gonna be offering this whole service in the year 2021. Next year, we may consider looking at higher as we increase the number of services we provide. Today and right now, at least towards the end of the year, we're going to be offering this at only $5,000. And stay put, if this is something that you have always been thinking about and you realize that, okay, this whole service makes sense, stay put for a bit more. I'm going to show you how this $5,000 is actually going to be $0 if we look at the bonuses that we're going to be offering to you. Okay. All right, so these are your considerations. If you decide to look at the Sky Invest service, you just need to decide whether you want to do flipping. We call it Sky Flip, where you get a fat check, you buy, rehab, and sell. Okay, you make your money once every 15, maybe 24 months. Currently, it takes a little bit longer because of the current market conditions. Okay, if you like passive income, you can look at rental. So rental is the type where you get paid every month. Rental or Airbnb in this case, every month you get paid. This is how you can actually get your returns almost immediately. So generally for rental properties or Airbnbs, once we buy them for you, we don't buy properties that require a lot of rehab. We need maybe very light rehab, and then we do furnishing, and then you can start to get your income quickly, maybe within 2 to 3 months down the road. Okay. And for some of you who decide that, no, remember, so you said, I want to do all of the above. So you can actually do both. You can do both flipping and rental. So this is what we call a Sky Duo service. In this case, you can actually do both. Okay, why do we separate flipping, rental, or do we put this whole thing duo? It's because we need separate entities, separate different entity type, whether it's an Inc. or an LLC, for tax efficiency. So rental income is treated differently from a flipping income by the IRS. Okay, so you need two separate entities to differentiate this so that you get tax efficiency. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. People will be asking me, okay, for $5,000 is what you pay, right, to get everything set up. Noble Sky, how do we earn from all of this? That is a very, very fair question, and I want to address that right now. For $5,000, if you realize in the service fee, right, almost everything goes into paying for professional services. Okay, the company registration, the sending down the scouts, put in corporate compliance and everything. We do not earn much at all from here, and so this is not how we do our business model is. Okay, deployment fee is basically every time you put in a capital for buying of your property. Okay, we set aside 5% for operating expenses. So basically, we need to send down the scouts. We need to maybe get people to travel a little bit here and there to take a look at these things and that. So we put aside 5% of your capital. It's no additional expense to you. It's just based on the same capital we put aside for running of the business. But this is where Noble Sky partners with you, and we earn on a performance fee basis. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to here, to this point. So after you get set up, you put in your capital, and then the property in the flipping projects, for example, right, is already done up, rehab, and then now sold for profits. Okay, we do a performance fee on the profit only. So which means you will always get your capital principal first, right? That makes sense, right? So we do not have any share of your capital. Capital goes back to you. We only work on the profit. So which means selling price less of capital, the profit is what we split. So if you were to have at that point in time put in a capital amount of below $50,000, we work on a 60-40 split. So which means that profit that you get at that point in time, say for example you put in $30,000 to buying a flip property, right? That will put you in the gold tier, which means any profits that come in from there, you will keep 60%, Noble Sky will keep 40%. Okay, and I think that's fair remuneration for us doing all of the work for you. But if you have to put in more capital, then you deserve to keep more, because more risk on you, right? You put in more capital, more risk on you, so you deserve to keep more. You put in more than 50K, we will do a 70-30 split on the profit. So you keep more, you keep 70%, Noble Sky gets paid 30% of the profits. Again, I repeat, capital goes out to you first. And then if you are our premier clients in the premier tier, which means you put in more than $250,000 capital, like some of our investors, you can then get to keep even more, which is you keep 80% and 20% is what gets paid to Noble Sky. So understand that in order for you to get to these different tiers, it is cumulative, which means you do not need to one shot pay 250K, for example. So some people say, okay, this month or next month I have 30K, I want to put in 30K first. And then 3 months down the road, I liquidate some of my shares. They were doing okay, but now I want to earn more, right, through US real estate. I liquidate and I have another 50K. So now you have 50 plus 30, you have 80K. So in your 80K total, you are in the second tier, the platinum tier. So say down the road, maybe 6 months or even 1 year down the road, right, you liquidate some other, or maybe you get some inheritance somewhere, or you won the lottery and you got more money, right? You decide to put in, it was 80K, you put in 170K. So now you have more than 250K in total of your own fresh capital. You fall under the premier tier and you get to keep more, 80-20. Right? So same goes for rental on a monthly basis. If your tier was the gold tier, you get to keep 80% of the rental income, 85 or 90% depending on the same capital tiers that you have contributed for yourself. All right, so I hope that's clear. If you got any questions, go ahead, put in the chat. We will be happy to address them. Okay. Right, so if you were to do flipping, you put in $5,000 to set up one entity, rental another $5,000 to set up one entity. Today, the offer is this: we want to make it affordable for you. If you were to set up 2 entities, we have a little bit of an economy of scale, right, for how we run things for you, but we cannot still do only one business entity. It will involve more costs. But in order for that to happen, basically we come up with the Sky Duo service, which means for 2 entities, you now pay only $8,500 to get 2 business entities set up. Okay, so you do not pay $10,000, you pay $8,500, and I think that's a very, very good price to start out with. All right. So in summary, this is what you need to consider. You only need to decide whether you want to do flipping or rental or both, and you decide to pay whether $5,000 or $8,500 to get set up. You sign all of the documents, and after that is done, then you put out your capital, right? We send you the property analysis. You see, okay, this is a good one. I have my capital. I'm ready to go in. That's how you decide to do it. Okay. So has it been good? Has this service been working for our investors? I want you to take a listen to Datuk Sri Paul Chong. He's from Malaysia. You might have seen him around, maybe especially in social media. He's an investment banker. Take a listen to what he has to say. It's a little bit long, so listen carefully to how we have helped him achieve his investment returns. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul Chong from Malaysia. As the former CEO of a global investment bank, a private equity fund manager, a lawyer and an accountant, I'm well versed with investment models. Today, I want to share my experience in partnering with Raul Said and Noble Sky International in an effort to build my real estate portfolio, especially in a country that I cannot conveniently reach or be in at all times, such as the United States. For my business and career, I'm based both in Hong Kong and Malaysia. but I've lived and worked in major financial centers around the world, including London and New York. So I know how expensive things can be in order for us to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. I got to know Ralph when I was attending his event back in 2018. Now, this was really a bizarre chance meeting. Back in 1995, I was a poor MBA student at Wharton, and I had to work part-time for $4 an hour, collecting information on property foreclosures and tax liens by going through, tons of records in public libraries in the US. I was working for a real estate investment company then. Now, they didn't tell me what all these were for. All I need to know was get the information for $4 an hour. And then Ralph's advertisement on tax liens caught me by surprise. I said, my God, this was 23 years ago when I was blindly collecting, market data, not knowing what my employer was going to do with them. And now Ralph will tell me. So from that chance meeting, we went on to talk about things beyond tax liens into actual real estate investments. Now, I'm a Chinese person, and I'm a firm believer in real estate. Ironically, despite me being a Wall Street investment banker, some 80% of my net worth is in real estate. I have property interests in the United States, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia, all of which I had to manage personally. Now, you can imagine the pain I go through every year when tax season arrives, right? Because reporting the rental income, the depreciation, the expenses, on all these properties across 6 countries around the world, it's a nightmare. I even have Deloitte do my tax returns for me, right? One of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. Then Ralph offered me something I found very, very useful. A professional team that will help me manage at least one of the countries that I'm invested in, the United States. From search to acquisition, from refurbishment to letting and sale. It's something that also can be structured on a profit-sharing basis. Now, as an investment banker, I love profit-sharing schemes because that gives my partner, in this case, Noble Sky, the utmost incentive to do the best they can, to realize the highest profit they can, rather than working for me or with me for a fixed fee. As a foreigner in the United States, I'm now assured that I can safely and comfortably own many properties in the United States, even without stepping foot, in the US. Noble Sky offered a business model that makes perfect sense to me. And that part of my business is now, if you like, run by a professional team that does not need my input or time at all. So I get time to focus on other businesses and family. Say, the 3 things that I value in them. Number 1 is their presence in the United States. I made a mistake previously buying half an office block in Melbourne, totally unseen. So my friend and I were sharing this, and we the realtor or the real estate broker showed us the building on Google Earth. We signed it, cut them a check while we were in Hong Kong, and that was it, right? That turned out to be a bit of a mistake because nothing beats what we call shoe leather investment in real estate. The ability to walk the streets, search the local databases, compare transactions across similar properties, understanding the local market, talking to local realtors, right? Getting a deep sense of the community, the demographics, and so on. So that is important. Number 2, Ralph has a professional team that is highly experienced, not just as buyers, but as a team that can pull together the required labor and professionals for the renovation, refurbishment, and the ultimate sale, all at acceptable costs. And finally, what I find truly intoxicating is the drive that I see in Ralph and his team. They work tirelessly to manage, their property portfolio for us, and more importantly, their business acumen, the ability to time sales and at what we call optimum prices. Now, you may not want to sell properties at the highest possible prices at all times. There may be circumstances where you do wholesale deals. You make 3% less, but you make it 6 months sooner, and that's going to increase your internal rate of return tremendously. So it is this balance, right? The ability to read the market, not just buying at the lowest price and selling at the highest price and wait until the cows come home, but to time purchases and sales accordingly. That is one of Ralph's expertise. So since 2018, my group of investors in Noble Sky, under Ralph's guidance, have acquired 13 properties in New York and Florida states combined. Some of these we have achieved exits with fantastic returns. To draw an example, 6 of the properties we sold in Florida made us between 30 to 59% profit. And the 3 we sold in New York State, we were very happy with the exit, and one of them made us 85% in profits. So I want to thank Ralph, ICE, and the Noble Sky team for making my life easy as I venture into the real estate business in the United States. It's something that I can't do because I'm not in the US all the time, and they have been giving me returns that I will never dream of attaining in Malaysia. So if you have the chance to work for Ralph or work with Ralph and the Noble Sky team, do try and take the opportunity to do that as soon as you can. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Datuk Sri Paul Chong, for the very, very detailed insights about how you've been working with Noble Sky. And I like the fact that he says that we have actually made his life a lot easier, and that's exactly what we want to do for you as well. Okay, so when you want to do investing in US real estate, we want to make it easy for you, again, which is why we don't sell you any workshop or mastermind or coaching so that you have to start thinking about all of the problems that's involved. We want you to enjoy the returns, meet your financial goals, so that while we do all of the work for you. That's how we partner with you to make US real estate investing a reality for you.
Ladies.
Right? So here's special bonuses as I promised, and if this is something for you, do stay on, but we'll only work with people who meet this criteria. Okay, we don't work with everybody. Like some of you may be excited, but I hope this is what you actually believe in. Okay, first, you believe that US real estate can give you superior returns than your other options out there. Okay, so if you do not believe this is the case, then basically US real estate is not for you, right? And then if you like to have 100% done for your real estate business, okay, this is something, understand this is a business that we run for you. This is something that you like to have. And you have, very importantly, the mindset of an investor and a businessman. Why is this important? Is because a lot of people think that, this is so hands-off and then that everything's going to be so nice and smooth and dandy. Understand that when we run it as a business. There's a lot of things that goes on the ground. Good thing is you do not need to get involved with that, but you make decisions when we tell you that, okay, if you want to get in, okay, do you want to sell now, or do you want to continue putting in getting income return, rental returns, for example, things like that. Understand there will things that may shift on the ground that requires us to make adjustments, but it is something that we do for you. Okay, and the last and most important part is you are not seeking a get rich quick scheme. So I know we've showcased some properties we've done very good returns, all right, and some did like 95%. In fact, there's one that's being listed. We are targeting that it might look at about 107% for the investor. But understand, although these numbers look really good, they are not a get rich quick schemes, right? So if you meet all of these criteria, then congratulations. Hang on, I'm going to show you the bonuses that's going to make this whole setup fee. Remember, $5,000 going to make it look as though it is it's going to be like as good as zero. Okay, this is first and foremost how it looks like. First bonus I'm going to share with you, okay, is what we call the matching capital. This is something that I know no other company out there offers. It's a crazy offer, so I hope you take advantage of this. This is how it works. If you decide to go only on one entity, which is the flipping or rental only, remember you pay $5,000, right, to get things set up. We will match your capital with $2,000. If you decide to go with Sky Duo, which means you have 2 entities being set up, okay, we will give you a matching capital of $5,000. Right? How and what does this mean? How does this work? Okay, I want to show you an illustration. Okay, let's compare on the left the difference it will make when you have this matching capital to your ROI. All right. Let's say we talk about a flipping project and you are on the Sky Duo in Sky Invest fee. So you took up the Sky Duo service. and we are going into a project that requires $100,000, okay, to buy, rehab, and sell. So if you had put in $50,000 of your own capital, right? Anything that is above 5K, we will match maximum to 5K. So we put in 5K for you on the left-hand side. So now understand your total capital will be 55K versus 50K on the right. Simple. Now, out of this 100K, because you have 55K, you are now a 55% owner versus a 50% owner of the whole project. Understand? Now, how do you get your money back? So step one, remember we do profit split, right? So before we do any kind of profit split, we will return you 50K, which is your own capital, plus the 5K that we give you as matching capital. So you understand at this stage, you receive 5K, which is free money for you. So you get to keep the 5K bonus that's given to you. So part two, we take the profits or the sale, you less off your share, your capital. What the balance is what you call the profit. So understand that 50K of your own capital means you are in the platinum tier, which is a 70-30 split. So based on that, we do a 70-30 flip. What you split, what you get is 25,410 on the left and 2,300 on the right. Step three, you combine what you keep back. So on the left hand side, you take back 80,410 versus on the right hand side 7,300. Okay, so remember your initial investment, your own fresh capital was 50K. On the left hand side, because of the matching capital, you get a total of 30,410 versus 23,100. Okay, so what is the difference here? On the right hand side, without the matching capital, you earn 46.2% returns, which is great already. Yeah, in any investment, 46.2 is really like, wow, it's nice, right? But because of the matching capital, it makes a whole lot of difference. In a sense, between 46.2 and 60.82% returns, it is 31.65% difference. It's a lot of that level of increase. All right. So do you guys like this? Matching capital is like free money given to you. Of course, it cannot be given to you just like that. It has to be put through the investment. But once the investment exits, that money goes back to you. Give me a why if you love this. Yes. Or anything there, $5,000 not going to make a difference. Why? Right? Okay, great. So I'm talking to the right group of people. So this is something that is exciting for you, right? So now understand that you already get this bonus. Are you ready for bonus number 2? This is going to make a lot of sense. But yet, okay, no, let me rephrase. This didn't make a lot of sense for me because as someone who works in the company, I tell Ralph, this is crazy, right? You're going to offer this bonus, and this is basically we call the return of the Sky Invest fee during the profit split. So remember when you put in the Sky Invest fees of $5,000 for a single entity or 8,500 for 2 entities, right? We will actually return this back to you if you put in a minimum capital of $50,000. Right? So how does this work again? So let's take a look at the same example. So on the right hand side, this table, if you, without any of the bonuses, basically you're done. You put in 50K, we run through the project, the flipping for you and everything, you get back your returns, 100, you are happy already. But on the left-hand side, you already have the matching capital, which means you're already taking back an additional 5K, which is the matching capital. On top of that, we will return you an additional, the amount of money that you paid for the Sky Invest fee, which is 8,500. So your total returns in this case will be 38,910. So it's the same 50K that you put in to invest, right? But in terms of returns, you get back 38,910 on the left versus 23,100 on the right. This is the profit. So do you guys see the difference? And in this case, effectively, your setup fee, the Sky Invest service fee that you get from us today equals to 0. In fact, you make more because it's 8,500 is what you get back, and then 5K is the matching capital you get. Free bonus just like that. Okay, so $5,000 of matching capital on top of 50K in this example is already a 10% ROI you get just like that. And this is something that blew my mind when Rauf actually decided to do this in the year 2020. And of course, I was sad because when I came in 2018, there was no such bonuses at all. Right? So, but too late, right? I couldn't tell Raul, hey, look, I came in 2018, you should be giving me these bonuses. We can't do a retrofitting of these bonuses, but I'm happy for you guys because today you stand a chance to enjoy these bonuses and make a lot of sense for your investments, okay? Now, this is what an additional bonus that we're going to give to you if you decide to take fast action. So we know that a lot of people, once they look at all of this, get very excited, and they go to sleep, and then they forget about it the whole time. But we will give to you this additional $500 on your matching capital, which means you're going to get more ROI because it's additional $500 free for you if you decide to come in the next 48 hours. Okay, why do we put in 48 hours? We're not doing any hard selling for you. It's like you only have till midnight tonight to make a decision, because we know and we respect the fact that investing is a serious consideration, right? Yes. To make an investment is a serious consideration. You need to speak to your spouses, you need to speak to your business partners, you need to maybe think about maybe where do you liquidate your funds. A lot of people who come in, basically they put in 5 figures, 6 figures or more, right? So that takes consideration, and we respect the fact. So very simply for you, if you want to enjoy all of the bonuses, we are giving you a very, very good time of 48 hours for you to make a decision. Go ahead and talk to people you need to talk to, and then you come back to us, and this $500 additional matching capital will still be held for you. All right. So in summary, this is what we are doing for you. All of the services that we are doing for you, and on top of that, we put in all of the bonuses that come in. You're actually going to get a $51,000 bonus today that you only need to pay $5,000 for a start to get everything set up. And you understand, because of the bonuses, right? Technically, their actual money being put in your portfolio, it negates, which means it nullifies your $5,000. You get the money back. It's almost zero. Your investment to start is almost zero. So the rest of it is like pure investments for you. Okay, so this is all you need to consider. Oh yeah, I forgot about this altogether. This is Rao's personal guarantee. You can take a screenshot of this. We're not kidding about this. I think no other company does this, because Rao is so confident of what we can achieve, and I do believe, because we have seen the numbers, what we'll be able to do. Basically, if we can't make 30% for you on the flip or 10% on the rental, Ralph says it's going to give you the Sky Invest fees that you pay, maybe 5,000 or 8,500, with an additional 20% on top of that amount. Okay, so we are that confident that we will be able to deliver. So say we don't deliver, maybe instead of 30%, we do 25%, you still grow by 25%, right? You still make money, but we will, because we fall short of 30%, we will still give you back your Sky Invest fees with 20% returns. Understand? Okay, so I hope you guys are clear. Any questions you may have, put in the comments. So this is all that you need to do right now. If you are very clear with what we have to offer, and you like the fact that, okay, this is what I've been looking for all my life, I want to invest in real estate, but without me having to worry about all of the nitty-gritties, all of the rehab works and everything, having to look at everything of the project management myself, then this is the service that you've probably been looking for. We do all of the work for you. You've heard from the other investors how they've enjoyed, how this service has made their life easier. Even as a foreigner who's not based in the US, they can enjoy the returns that you can get from US real estate. So this is all you need to do. So now I want to go into this very, very simple option for you. If you decide that, remember you say 48 hours, okay, I need 48 hours, but I also want to lock in all of the bonuses. I don't want to lose out on the bonuses. Fair enough, because I've stated it, we respect your decision to the fact that you will need time to consider this investment. We want to give you this option to put in 100% refundable deposit. It's only $100 that you make right now tonight. Okay, actually we go to the link Sky Invest Deposit, bit.ly Sky Invest Deposit. There's a timer, and that timer ends midnight tonight. So this gives you the time to just put in a deposit, and then for the next 48 hours, speak to the consultants, people who have been in touch with you on WhatsApp. I think most of them will be with you on WhatsApp. They are your consultants. Ask them any questions that you may have. If you are in Singapore, we'll be more than happy to meet you in person to run through with you, answer all of your questions. If not, we can definitely do Zoom calls to clarify any of your questions that you may have. You can bring in your family, you can bring in your business partners to ask your questions, and we answer them together. Okay, but what I would like to share with you is basically do not lose out on the bonuses, because they're going to make you better returns. Okay, and in fact, with the bonuses, it makes your setup fees to zero right down the road. So do that for yourselves. Okay, this $100 deposit is not going to make Noble Sky rich in any way. Okay, we didn't run the webinar for the past 2 hours and a half or 2 hours 45 minutes just for us to earn $100 from you. This $100 is not for us to earn anything. It's for you to be able to secure for yourself to lock in the bonuses so that you get to take advantage of the full services that we have to offer. Okay, say you decide after 48 hours, okay, this is not for me, this is something that I don't want to pursue. By all means, we'll be happy to return you the $100. Okay, we'll be happy to give you back $100 again. But if you decide, say you say after 48 hours, you say, all right, this is something that I've considered carefully and I want to come on board. I want to become an investor, I want to become a client with Noble Sky International, you want to work with us, partner together. Then what you do is you just pay the difference of the $100. So which means instead of 5K, you need to pay, right? You pay the balance, which is 49, because 100K is already paid, right? Make sense? So some of you may say, I might need more than 48 hours. We will be happy to extend that to you a little bit, but do consider this carefully. Let our consultants know that you need more time. Okay, let our consultants know you need more time. We'll be happy to extend the timeline a little bit for you so you can still lock in your bonuses. Otherwise, you know, if you can't decide, then probably we'll be happy to return you the money. All right, so this is all I have for you. The next 5 minutes I'm going to be on. I know I appreciate so much the fact that you have been with me for the past 2 hours plus, listening in to what US real estate can do for you, and I hope it has opened up your mind. I hope this is something that you can start to see the possibilities of how your money can grow a lot faster, a lot safer, and a lot easier using US real estate versus dealing with your own properties in your market. All right, and I hope this is something that you can start to begin your journey with US real estate, just like how I have and how a few of the 200, 300 plus investors in our community have already been enjoying. So this is something that you can enjoy for yourself as well. Right, for the next 5 minutes, please put in your questions that you may have. We'll be happy to address them. Yeah, Mr. Peter Dunhill, yes, we will arrange a call tomorrow. The consultant will be in touch with you. We'll be in touch. You know, any questions that you may have, let us know. We'll be happy to address them. Right. So again, I do not want to hold you back, but this has been really amazing. Every time I share this, I'm very, very, very excited. I get excited all over again because I know there's just so many people who has been looking for such an opportunity, for such a service that can allow them to do this. All right, so go ahead and log in if you have not done so. All right, Mr. Lukman, thanks. Okay, thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate that. And those of you again who have been here, I want to share. Yeah, this was the resources you can get, right? So don't go back empty-handed. This is something you can get for yourself. All you need to do is basically give us a review, all right, on Google or on Facebook, and then send us the screenshot of what you have done the review, and then we'll be happy to send you the resources your way. Okay, this will help you to you know, at least get some ideas, a better idea of how you can, if you think you want to do this on your own, go ahead. These are some resources that can help you get started. All right, so do this, give us you know, if you've enjoyed this session with me, just as how much I've enjoyed this session with you, you give us a favorable feedback, a positive review on Google or Facebook, and we'll be happy to, you know, get more of this, the word out on US real estate to more people out there. All right, thank you again, everyone. Back to where we are. Questions that you may have, if you are ready, go ahead and make the full payment. We'll be happy to, you know, have you come on board. The onboarding process is simple. Basically, once you make the full payment, we will send you the onboarding form. You fill in your details, you fill in a few KYC, right, for us to get to know you a little bit better. And then you give us the business name that you want to get set up in the state of Wyoming, right? Then we will get the thing set up for you. And we start to go into discussions of what type of returns you want to look at, what type of timeline you want to look at, and then we know better how and what type of properties we can show to you. Okay, the moment you get in with us, we will start to do the work for you already. So we have the team is always on the lookout for the next best property that we can offer to the investors, to the investor community. So there are people right now who are actually waiting for us. The market in the US is so interesting. You know, in Zillow, the platform where people list properties for sale, I think the statistics shows that I think properties listed right now only stays there for about 34 days, right? For which means a property that's listed on Zillow platform gets cleared within 34 days, which means there's so much transactions going on right now. So it's really a good time to be a landlord or property owner in the US right now. Okay, so remember, our strategy is always buying in where you can get instant equity, right? And we want you to be able to enjoy the type of returns that we've discussed in this webinar earlier. All right, so Mr. Sheikh, again, thank you also for your time. If you have not done so, those of you who are still thinking about it, go ahead and log in your bonuses first. All right, go in the link. That timer in the website, in the link is real. It will expire by midnight tonight, and then that pay button is no more there. Right, the payment button is no more there. Then you will need to let the consultants know you still want to get the $100. Okay, otherwise the website will end tonight for you to actually make in the $100 refundable deposit. We'll be happy to return to you if you can't make a decision or if you decide to back out. We totally respect that. Otherwise, you know, we will be happy to really welcome you and start investing. It's really 2021. It's no longer, actually, we may want to consider changing the title of this webinar. Right? It's no longer a secret, really. If you have not taken advantage of US real estate by now, in the year 2021, when there's so much buzz about US real estate already and how the market is really advantageous for people, it's not a secret anymore, and you're really missing out on a lot, right? So yeah, please go ahead and let us know. Yeah, Mr. Peter, correct. We will still, the bonuses is valid to you for 48 hours. All right. So my advice is do put in the lock in your bonuses. For sure, secure your position so that you won't lose out. Don't worry. Again, as you mentioned, we're not here to earn $100 from you. What we really want to do is earn your trust by sharing with you the services that we are doing, by sharing with you the processes, by sharing with you the case studies that's been working for our investors. And then if you so decide after 48 hours, this is something that you also want to enjoy for yourself, then we'll be happy to bring you on board. Otherwise, say if you decide that this is not for you, not the right fit for you, we will be happy to return you the $100. All right. So Mr. Peter, thank you so much for being with us. And the rest of you who are still here, I've got nothing else to share, but I'm happy to take any of your questions. Okay. Right. So yeah, the time has passed already. It's been more than 5 minutes. Again, last call. Any questions you can type in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to end the webinar tonight. We will do future webinars, but do understand, once you come in for future webinars, you don't qualify for the 48 hours anymore. The 48 hours doesn't refresh for you. Okay. The 48 hours starts from this webinar tonight, so which means you have tomorrow is Friday and Saturday. Give yourself the full Friday and the full Saturday to decide. You decide you need more time, let our consultants know. Otherwise, we will be happy to return you the deposit. Okay, so again, it's been an amazing 2 hours plus sharing with you on US real estate. Here I am again, Farhan from Noble Sky International. I'm happy to have spent the last few hours with you, and I really do hope we have been able to open up your minds, open up your perspectives on real estate. Personally, for me, it has changed forever. I no longer look at local real estate because it's just too expensive and the returns are just paltry. So I hope you will be happy to join us. All right. So that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I hope to see you guys on the inside, and take care. It's going to be the weekend soon, so stay safe and take care, everyone. All right.